How did it get worse?
It does.
I was on Tinder for ego and my bio, and he'll tell you the only thing in my bio said I'm kind of an asshole.
And at this point, she's like, 6 inches. And I look at him like,
Hey guys, what's up? It's Devon with Little Pricks Podcast. I'm so glad to have you here. If it's your first time, welcome. As you can see, this is going to be an episode with so much to unpack. Funny stories, crazy things that I have never heard of, and things that probably you have never heard of either. If it's your second time here, third time here, or you've been watching us since the beginning, do me a big favor. Go down below the episode, leave us a 5-star review, please. It would mean the absolute world. This is going to be such an amazing episode. We've been dying to have guests on for the longest time. So here we are. We've got a big group, 5 people in this episode, and we have so much to talk about, and you're not going to miss a single second of it. So stay tuned.
excuse me?
So
What?
believe it or not, we have ears. We can hear
Yeah.
everybody.
Okay. So,
Man, fingers crossed. Now I'm stressed.
That's fine.
Tough.
cool.
Well, I got her, buddy.
You may have to aim that one at me, because right now I have the camera on here, and it's on that Wi-Fi, so I want to leave it connected so we don't lose that signal. That's the most important camera in the room, sir.
Yeah, but we're good now. Now you gotta set it up, right?
If I disconnect it, it might change the camera, so I'm not going to do that.
Do you think it will?
So you know what I'll do? I got my phone.
Okay.
I remember that now.
That's fair. What's going on? Here we go. Get that behind me. Nice. So anybody ever done anything like this before? I know, Aaron, you said that you kind of... What did you say? You did. I read part of an audiobook?
Yeah.
That's kind of cool. Hercules.
Yeah.
That's dope, man.
I was like,
What about...
Hercules,
What
Hercules.
What about you?
I work in the film industry,
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
so I do the hair and makeup for it, but yeah, I've been on a lot of sets.
Nice. That's cool.
Yeah.
Okay. How
No big deal.
not that I want to feel like the wrath of the honest answer of this, but how does this compare?
This is actually better than
Be
I
honest.
expect. No, I will. Believe me.
she will be honest.
No, this is better than I actually expected it to be. I'm not
Really?
gonna lie. I thought we were gonna have like a tripod and then just like sit around.
Damn,
No
kudos
way.
to you.
Yeah,
guys.
so-
Like with just like one mic in the center? Or
Yeah, like
No
I
way.
honestly I don't even know that I
Taking this
expected
seriously.
microphones. Like I expected
What?
just like a camera. Yeah, because we haven't like talked about. I mean, we've talked about the podcast, but we haven't talked about like
Yeah.
what's
Yeah.
your setup.
You're admitting
Well-
you haven't watched the podcast.
Oh, I haven't. We listened
listened
to
to
it
it.
in the
That's
car.
I played it in the car.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I
I've
haven't
actually,
watched it.
Like watched it, but
That's fair.
No, I mean, because this was all from scratch. So like this idea probably came over a year ago at this point. You
Yes,
know,
we've been working on this for
year and a
year.
half ago, and like this is ground zero. Absolutely no experience whatsoever.
Yeah.
Like I didn't know anything. I didn't know like frame rates. I didn't even know resolutions. I didn't even know how resolutions worked. You know.
She can't believe it.
I know.
She's like, excuse
Impressed.
me.
Say
impressed. She was shocked.
But yeah, so it's definitely came with a lot of hard lessons and a lot of like episodes we had to trash. So like what I didn't realize is that your frame rate needs to be divisible into the hertz that you record your audio in. Because if you don't, it's just like every couple of seconds, it's like you would have to like splice, realign. And like if you try to do it with AI, it just won't do it.
We've lost a few episodes doing that.
Yeah.
If it makes you feel better, you can just hit the mute button.
True.
And even if you don't, nobody cares. Nobody listening is going to care that the baby's in the background.
That's the
That
moment.
is totally okay.
We have to do it.
What?
1 second.
Oh,
Yep.
Oh, like all
Just to get it
together.
out of the way.
mine's not quite that sensitive. You guys go ahead and your Yetis.
Yeah, right.
You know, those are the ASMR mics.
2.
Perfection.
You guys are so weird.
You didn't catch the bubble.
There is no bubbles on this one.
Ah,
Uh-oh.
what kind of fizzy drink is this?
Not that fizzy.
But yeah, no, it is. It is actually.
Came
I'm more impressed
Yeah.
than I expected to be. I'm not gonna lie.
Okay.
Thank you.
That's good.
We appreciate
We're so
that.
glad because, like, and I feel like we mention this all the time, or at least I do. Maybe I'm the one that loathes it more than
Praise.
Fareed, but like the early episodes,
We're bad.
They're
like,
always bad. They're trial and error.
they're so
like
terrible.
nobody.
Like, whose idea was that? You
It was
know?
ours. And we had gratuitous shots of our groins. It was bad.
Oh yeah, but nobody
Jeez.
starts out
that was
doing
my favorite
something
part, but-
perfect.
Yeah.
Like it's just. It
That's
is what
totally
it
fair.
is. Like
I think the content was there because, like,
I
actually
think your audience
our
would disagree.
The audience is like, yeah. We're here for the
This is
groin.
what we're here for.
I'm only here to watch the groins.
Right.
I watched it on mute, actually, the first couple episodes.
Dang.
Why do they have to talk?
No, but like, believe it or not, like our second episode is one of our most popular. Like
Really?
it's like number 2, and
Isn't
it's
that
just
funny? Well, maybe because it's more authentic, right? Like they see you and they're like, oh, these guys are like
Yeah.
trying. Whatever the topic might be, also might have helped.
Yeah,
Actually,
well-
I counted more groin shots on the second episode, so.
yeah,
So they're like, we authentically like his groin.
right.
Perfect.
No, but it's so funny how the podcast has just evolved and like how far we've came now. And like I look back and I think about when we just wanted like 1,000 subscribers or followers somewhere like by the end of this year, and then like here we are at like whatever it is, you know, 3,500, almost 4,000 on Instagram, and then like growing on YouTube and everywhere else, just a slow, steady climb. And it's like, dude, what? Like I just
it's a
never
journey.
expected the success that we have this soon. Like obviously we still want to grow, and obviously like we definitely want to remain humble through all of that growth, but like,
Yeah.
man,
Yeah.
I just can't, like, I'm just beside myself. I'm happy about it.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
and I'm excited to have you guys. So I guess we'll start there, right? Because
Introduction time.
it's usually me and Freed's ugly mugs on here, and now we have 3 extra people, 4 extra,
extra
sorry,
people.
sorry,
I know.
4.
She's gonna get
extra
mad at you.
Man.
So-
Excuse me.
Yeah, maybe we'll just like start there, you know.
Sure.
Raemie, please.
Hello, I'm Raemie. Am I supposed
Hi,
to say
Raemie.
hello? Hello, guys. My name's
Your
Raemie.
favorite color? 3 things about you?
Yeah.
Likes long walks on the beach.
I don't actually. It's usually really
Very
hot.
short walks.
It is.
I'm also, side note, I get bit by everything. So like the beaches usually have no-see-ums, and I usually get
Yeah.
torn up by no-see-ums.
I
San
feel like
Diego.
that didn't happen to me until I got like older. Like now it feels like it, or maybe I was just younger and just oblivious to it. But now I feel like I get chewed up by everything.
I got nothing.
Oh.
No?
Nothing comes after me.
Yep.
Except for one time I got stung by jellyfish in Lebanon.
Ooh, that'll do it.
No,
I didn't
thank
know.
you.
Yeah, I know. I didn't know. I just like walked out of the water. I was like, why does everything hurt?
My body is on fire.
Right.
And apparently it was jellyfish season. Like nobody warned us. Like, just get in. It's okay.
Right.
It's part of the experience.
Yeah. Like white guy does know better.
You don't leave until you get stung.
It's true.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, in the context of the episode being about dating apps, everybody here at the table has some experience with that. You know, you guys met on a dating app, yeah?
Yep.
Yes.
And then all of us 3, just
on
have
dating
experience.
apps.
Yeah, right. I have actually of recent deleted my accounts. Even I went as far as like not just deleting the apps, like accounts are deleted now. So
So you can't even go back.
no, like
Good
I'm
for her.
I'm off now, but like you know, I still have the experience.
Of course.
So, in that context, you guys.
So we have Raemie, we have Aaron,
Yes.
Me?
as before known as the husband, but now the best
Yeah.
friend.
Yeah.
Yes. We have my sister Laila. Of course, you have me, Fareed, and the other little prick, Devon.
Come on. Let's
And the
go.
baby on the floor.
And the baby on the floor.
That's okay. That's
Would-
okay.
We shall refer to her as
I
baby.
was gonna say, would if I
Yes.
hold her, will she be out of frame? I can't. A celibate ad.
Right, celibacy.
This,
Yeah.
this,
Is
this
a condom
episode is
commercial?
proudly brought to you by birth control,
Yeah. No, she's talking about
Little
that.
or the
pricks.
lack thereof.
Proudly brought to you by Durex.
Nah, no biggie.
A little bottle.
To be fair, this is actually a great segue, right? Like, you start off single, you couple up, you make babies. That's
Yeah.
how the whole circle of life
This
goes.
is the
Or
matured,
down,
the
or
matured
down.
side of the Tinder experience.
This is if it works.
Right.
It works,
If
right?
it works.
Where were we at? I don't remember.
We
Oh,
done
we
the
were.
introduction.
Yeah, you were introducing
Yes.
everybody.
Yeah.
So to kind of give perspective to our viewers here,
Yeah.
you have the people on the apps. You're gonna have male experiences with women's experiences, and then a successul couple that
Right.
have used the apps and have made it to the promised land.
Like you call yourself a woman's experiences.
He's like, what are you again?
Oh.
I forget because she's my sister.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
You have to be
Not a woman,
nice.
just a sister.
I'm
Yes,
gonna
you
cut.
have
I'm
to
gonna
be.
cut into that. Make a short form content out of that.
Yep.
Sisters aren't girls, okay? This is how that
I
works.
get it, though. I do have a younger brother.
Exactly.
Oh, honey.
Which makes you not a real dude.
No, not to
No,
you at
not
least.
a guy.
No,
Nah.
unless I'm fixing
You're just
things.
a bro.
Unless I'm fixing.
You're just a bro that fixes things.
Nice.
Useful.
I'm useful. I'm a useful tool, is what she basically just said. Yeah.
Yep.
Useful tool.
Cool.
So, you would like to segue us into the initial topic here, sir?
Yeah, so dating apps, right? Like we are here to talk about, the part that they've played in all of our lives. Are they good? Are they bad? Can they be detrimental? Can they be super useful in finding like your, ideal partner? I think, later on in the episode I'll talk about like a couple of things that are like big, huge deal breakers for me that like it was nice for me to be able to narrow out in those. So we want to talk about all of that, everything in between. And I'm sure that'll probably not look as organized as we talk about it, which is totally okay. We can definitely go on tangents and tell all of our stories and good, bad, ugly, funny, whatever they may be. But I was going to firstly start off with like a little bit of history because I've kind of found this to be interesting. Some of these are a lot older than I thought that they were. So like dating apps have been around for a really long time. And like some of these dating sites have dated back like even in the 70s. But I wanted to stay like kind of relevant to like everybody's age
I met
here.
this girl in the newspaper.
Right.
Seeking a ride.
Speaking
Yeah,
of,
that's exactly what they used to do.
I
Isn't
feel
that
like
a song? The
What's
Pina
that?
Colada song?
Oh,
Yeah.
do you
And
know
you
what
put an
that
ad
song
in
means?
the paper? Yeah,
No
he's
way.
cheating on his wife with each
his
other.
wife.
Well,
Yeah.
no, they were cheating on each other and found each other through the ads.
Yeah, in the
yeah.
newspaper, right?
Well, I don't know if that's what it
It's a
was, but it was
newspaper ad.
definitely how that happened.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were posting like
And then
the
they're like, yeah.
misconnections on Craigslist.
Oh, God.
That's like the oldest one I can think of.
Yeah.
But like as
Same.
far as like everybody's like age and relevance as far as that goes, I was looking at Tinder, obviously, because everybody knows Tinder.
Yeah.
When you say dating apps,
Yeah, that's what I was gonna
everybody
say.
thinks of Tinder.
I was
Yeah.
going to ask before you said it. Yes.
Blow up one that
Yeah.
everyone started to know.
And so like that's the imagery you get.
And it's funny because I think when we started this idea versus all the research we did on this topic, like our ideas absolutely changed throughout the research process.
Oh, for sure.
It did not go the way we thought it
Absolutely.
would. Like, to be completely transparent,
Mhm.
he thought I was a complete asshole about this topic because I had opinions. I have opinions on these
Right.
dating apps, right? But even in the research process, and the question becomes like,
Yeah.
when you think dating apps, what do you think of? Name the first one. What is it?
Tinder.
It's
Yeah.
Tinder.
Tinder.
Yeah.
Tinder, right? And because of that, I had certain ideas that were skewed towards dating apps, but really it was just Tinder.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like
or
Tinder.
primarily Tinder. Like I think there's other apps on there that will kind of
Yeah, touch
have
on.
some of the same characteristics, but yeah, Tinder is definitely like the baseline, the first one that you think about. So that one came out in 2012.
And statistically, it takes 46% of the market share,
Yeah,
which is amazing. And
So-
that's why we
okay.
think of Tinder as like the dating apps
right.
kind of a thing.
But some notable predecessors, Match.com, right? I
Yep.
thought Match.com was like kind of recent, like maybe 2010s, I guess. 1995.
Wow.
Yeah, 1995, followed by eHarmony. And that one I remember kind of like I remembered.
The old white guy telling you to like, come.
Yeah,
join with
like
us
the
with the
commercials,
happy little
right?
music in
Yeah.
the background.
Yeah, I remember the commercials. That was the year 2000. And then Plenty of Fish and OK Cupid were 2003 and 2004.
Okay, Cupid's the cesspool now.
Is it?
Oh God.
I've not been
Same
on that
with Plenty
one.
of Fish.
That's the one. Sorry, Plenty of Fish. That's the cesspool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't even been on that one.
I used that one way
Yeah.
back in the day.
We all did.
I've
back in
only
the
been
day.
on Tinder.
Good.
Really?
Don't go other
That
places.
was-
It was a
Yeah,
terrible
don't-
place.
Well,
Yeah, honestly, it
now
only
there's no
gets
point.
You went the right
It's where like the
direction.
trailer park cigarette smokers are.
That's exactly
Is that-
what it
Hold on,
was
yeah.
too.
wait a minute. Might be onto something here.
that
and
my
then-
neighborhood?
Huh?
Isn't that my neighborhood?
Yeah, it's my hometown, my stomping grounds.
Yep.
And then what else? Grinder.
Bumble,
Grinder
Ashley
came.
Madison, you
Grind-
know, the typical
Wait,
ones.
which
what?
one?
Huh? Bumble?
Ashley Madison.
Yeah.
You're right.
Oh,
And that one was
There's a whole documentary.
I just
watched that, too.
Yeah, I need
That
to.
one
Was it good?
It was good.
crazy.
Was it depressing?
Yeah.
A little bit.
It's
Nice.
a bunch of just sad, lonely men.
Really?
Yeah.
There was no women on there.
Even the
No.
founder
None.
of that website was using it to cheat on his
No.
spouse.
Yeah.
I mean, you gotta test your product.
Yeah.
It's only natural.
Right. So what else? Grinder was in 2009. Hinge was in 2012, and then Bumble was 2014.
And I think that's the modern one. Like if you asked
Yeah,
a,
like that's like the
like
trio,
an 18
right?
to 22-year-old, if you asked them like, what do you use, they would probably say that.
Yeah, there's like Tinder, Bumble, Hinge. For me, like
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
that's like the trio.
Which was interesting because when we did look at the numbers for it, it was most popular was Tinder.
Mm-hmm.
Then you had
Match. Yeah,
which
it
was
Ma-
surprising,
Yeah,
right?
Match was number 2.
What?
And then we
Yeah.
Lots of
had
lonely 50-year-olds out there.
I
You don't have to be lonely.
Oh, dude.
FarmersOnly.com.
How did I not put that on the list?
I was gonna bring that up, but anyway.
Wow.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
But it was Tinder, Match.com, and then I think it was Bumble.
Mm-hmm.
And then there was one more before, and then
Hinge was like fifth.
Hinge was like far
It was
down.
back down.
Have
I
you
forgot
officially
about
started?
Hinge, actually.
What?
Have you started, like, officially?
We've been in the podcast.
Yeah, we're recording.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cut this out.
We've done intros. We're in.
Cool.
Yeah.
We didn't want to do traditional intro because it's uncomfortable.
Yeah, it was
For
like,
show,
we're like,
for
guys,
show.
we're starting now.
Are you filming
Go
yet?
down into it.
Yeah, we just meandered our way into it. We've been into it for 12 minutes.
Yeah,
Sure
we've been
thing.
into
Cool,
it
cool.
for 15
18
minutes.
technically, but 12 minutes have been real.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So, thank you for the Ashley Madison reference, of
You're
course.
so
Yeah, no, and Farmers Only, come on, dude. How did we
Oh,
You
forget
messed
my
Farmers?
up.
second favorite.
God, maybe you guys should run the podcast. I'm screwing up. And then, so the next thing I put on here was just like kind of like the demographics, right? Like the most common age groups and like who's using them. And this is sourced from pewresearch.org. Adults age 18 to 29 are most likely to report having used the dating apps. And then as far as like, it was really tough on the research of like men versus women. Like there was I could not by any stretch of the imagination get like a solid answer of like this percentage or this amount versus this amount. The general consensus I could draw was that like there's significantly more men on the dating apps than there are women.
Makes sense.
Absolutely.
But like solid numbers I couldn't really get.
So this is actually something I wanted to get into because I like the numbers.
Yeah,
Right.
go ahead.
So I'm going to ask questions to you guys, and you give me what your response would have been. It's going to be a very
Oh, that's cool.
subjective
Alright,
kind
Yeah,
of
that's
I
cool.
like this.
point of view on this one, right? So obviously, there's going to be more men on there, right?
I got picked up in the mic really good.
Let's get to this.
He's ready to
go.
answer some
Get it
questions.
Snap, crackle, pop over here. So the first question would be the actual experience you have on these dating sites. We're going to focus on Tinder because it seems like that's the majority of it, right?
Yeah.
Is that fair? Or what would you say you use more?
So glad you asked. Nobody's mentioned Christian Mingle. What a shame.
Yeah, you're not on Christian.
Absolutely, top 3.
Top 3 Christian Mingle.
No doubt.
No, Tinder. Yeah, I'm actually starting to get now into Facebook dating. I wasn't allowed before.
Ah, yes,
It's
that is
amazing.
it.
I feel like
was like-
Facebook,
It's
Facebook
very
dating
allowing
is slept
everyone
on.
on there.
That's
for
what
a
my
while.
brother has been using too.
No way. Yeah. You talked about it too
It's
when we
a
were doing the
great place.
research. Yeah.
I
It is a
had
fantastic
never
place.
known.
Guess who I saw on there?
Who?
You didn't like me? Come on.
This is the second time. I'll
Harsh,
make sure to swipe
dude.
right on you every
Harsh,
time.
dude.
Promise.
He's just gonna be like, I see you. That's gonna be your first.
That's okay. That's fair. I admit on camera
I'd
that is
swipe right on you.
That's the one. That's the one I didn't delete yet.
I didn't call you out on it before, but I was like, I just saw him yesterday.
Right.
So let's start with the questions. Like in general on dating apps, what has been your overall experience? Would you say it's positive, somewhat positive, negative, or very negative? And we'll start here. Obviously, we have like a result that might hit,
Yeah,
but like
I would
overall,
For me, it was neutral.
Hmm.
More like Aaron is the exception
Right.
Well,
because it wasn't
let's
that
be
great.
honest. What were you mostly using it for? To get free meals.
Whoa.
I've heard that before.
Yeah.
No way.
I've heard that.
I was
I've never heard that before.
I was
so
literally
elaborate.
Yes.
dating to get free food, and then I wouldn't talk to them again.
Wow. No doubt.
Why not use
I
it
love
for
the
the second
candidness.
food? Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what we're here for. So,
Yeah.
free
And we'll
food.
get to it later, but I also
Tacos.
ghosted Aaron. So
Yeah, we'll get to that when we tell the
No
story.
way, dude. Oh,
So-
I can't
so-
wait.
so-
Curiosity peaked. We gotta get into
Neutral not being an option. From those 4 options, what would you say it would have been?
I mean, then I would have said somewhat positive.
Somewhat positive.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
Somewhat positive, yeah.
No,
Is
negative.
that somewhat negative or just
Elaborate.
very negative?
Elaborate.
Very
That's
negative.
like, yeah,
Okay.
very
Alright.
negative. I'll
Not
fill
great.
in the blanks on that one. Yeah.
disappointing. A little
Yeah?
depressing. Yeah.
I'm gonna say somewhat positive only because of like
You
the-
would say that nowadays.
things go great for me.
Okay, I got a date, and then I just gotta make it to the other date right after this first date. And like, oh my god.
Oh my.
Get an agenda, get a notebook, keep track of them.
Oh my. Oh my goodness.
Oops.
So,
Anyways,
so somewhat positive.
somewhat
With a
positive. Yeah.
stress.
Very positive
Well,
on
there's
free
every-
Tims.
And then yours. What do you think?
I think lately believe it or not, even though like I deleted the accounts, like more positive for sure. I think when I first started using dating apps, like I really just was using them for the wrong reasons, and I think for like those reasons inside of my initial experiences, I got exactly out of them what I put in. So like atrociously negative at first.
He was also trying to get a free meal.
Yeah,
It didn't go
Right.
the
It's
way
just
he wanted.
harder when you're a guy.
right. And then I would say now, especially like I said, with some of the like absolute deal breakers that I have, a lot better, and I've put more effort into it now. So like,
Yeah.
So,
How's that possible? You don't have dating apps.
well, I know, but before I deleted them.
So interestingly enough, for men, 57. There was 57 total possible options here. 43% of men were like, you know what, somewhat positive. For men,
Okay.
despite like how the numbers are skewed against us, mostly positive. For women, it was only 35%, where you had a much higher option of 38% being like somewhat disappointed, and then just 13% were just completely in Layla's camp.
Adds
Just
up.
completely negative, just has a terrible time. And then out of those numbers, 40% of men had paid for those apps, 39% of women had not. So it's very, very interesting. On that
Any
one.
info on like what they're paying for exactly?
The premium version.
But
Yeah.
why? For what?
You can do like super likes. And
Yeah, I was gonna say actually,
so it
I've
shows-
never
Those
paid.
help?
I've never paid. For
That's
it,
how
so I
we-
don't-
That's how they
That's
met.
how we met.
Getting
the
back to
super
this
like
story.
baby.
Yeah.
This episode's brought to you by the super like. Come on,
Yeah.
yeah, dude.
It
I
was-
was paying for the premium.
Okay,
So
yeah.
I
So
could
I,
super like.
I've
Travel
never
mode?
paid.
Yeah, I was doing travel mode too because I was coming back from a deployment.
No doubt.
So I
okay.
was wanting to swipe back in Tucson because I
That
was
makes
coming back.
I think
So-
Hinge you can do that for free. Hinge you can do that for free, but that's like the only one you can do that.
No,
It's
you get a
about 10
couple of
years too
super
late,
likes.
thanks.
Yeah. So interestingly enough, 45% of online dating users with upper incomes reported having paid for the dating sites.
Okay.
So like
Okay.
there is definitely a socioeconomic relevance to that.
Oh, okay.
Which is very
what's
interesting.
the upper income? Like what's the
Doesn't tell,
threshold?
doesn't tell us the income on this one. I think we
Okay.
did see statistics on incomes, and it turned out that there was like a certain very clear line of people that were on dating apps and were paying and were like the most active, and it was people between 28 and 36
That's
Makes
the
sense.
most active that we're paying for it.
in general and paying. Like it
Okay.
included both, and I think it accounted for like 34% of users,
Yeah.
No
which
doubt.
was super duper interesting on that one.
Cool. Okay.
So now we're going to go into reasonings for why people were on there, right? You wanted food. What were you on there for?
Well, I was not the best person in my
A
past.
whore.
Oh my goodness!
yeah.
Right out.
Trolling for ass.
So yes, the start of my dating app journey was Plenty of Fish first, back in like 2000.
Back in the
11, 10.
Hello.
And then once Tinder popped up, I moved over to that. But yeah, it was mostly for a late night hookup.
That's fair.
That's fair. That's okay.
A lot of honesty in this room. I like it.
We're going to be honest.
Oh no, absolutely. Yeah.
That's
I'm
what
pretty
I
much
do.
an open book. I try to
You
be.
know, the main
Yeah.
reasons, right? I'm in it for the green card. No, I'm just kidding.
You were born here.
I need papers.
Papeles.
I'm glad you think so too.
What?
Anyway, I think I don't know, man. So here's something that I know you are vehemently, some might even say in violent disagreement with.
Violent.
Okay.
Violent disagreement.
You don't like the idea, for me, that I'm actually okay alone. I enjoy it, but
Weird.
yeah, I don't know why you're like so strong.
That's a whole other
Strongly holding
podcast.
it. That's
whole
okay.
other podcast.
But I think that's like the only thing that I could add to my life is maybe a companion.
I totally I would vouch for her on that. That's kind of where I'm at. Is like every other aspect of my life I have figured out. Like I'm good. This is the last spot. This is like
Yeah.
this is the last area. I'm like, wow, I could maybe use some work, arguably, but like I'm okay without. You know, I'm
Cool.
alright.
Cool.
There have been times I wanted to date
I want to
casually.
die alone.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then there were times I wanted to like, it was a mixture. Date casually, they could get into something, right?
Yeah.
Percentages. 42% of men were there for finding a long-term relationship. I think most people lied, to be fair.
42%.
Well, yeah. These studies are hard to get like super accurate numbers on because they're
Yeah.
on sensitive topics and like
Yeah.
not. Yeah.
48% of women were there for, trying to find a long-term relationship. To date,
47, 48? Really?
No, 42, 48.
Oh, okay.
So 42% of men,
That makes-
48% of women. Then we had to date casually. 37% of women were there for casual dating, and then 43% were men. To have casual sex, 13% of women.
No way.
Yeah. And 31% of men. And then here were the oddballs. They didn't know what app they were on, looking for friends. 20% men,
Those are the
24%
fun ones.
women.
I'm not gonna lie.
Looking
They
Was
get
that for a
Friends,
specific
huh?
app or just dating apps in
Dating
general?
apps in general.
Because like Facebook dating
Has some
has the
friends.
friend
Yeah,
option.
Bumble does too. Yeah.
And I've seen profiles sometimes where they're like, "Yeah, I'm just looking for a friend," which
Yeah.
I'm like, "Why are you?"
You know
well,
what's funny?
I've met a couple like friends that I'm still to this day friends with for like 4 or 5 years that I met on dating apps, and like never like hooked up, never had any kind of like intimacy like that. Like genuinely just been friends.
So I'll give you a fun one.
Yeah.
I finally was able to share my sister's opinion on the general population of men.
Do tell.
After
Oh no,
you-
not my opinion.
Oh yeah.
So wait.
So like the face. We all look at you now. So on Facebook dating, it like puts you in the friends option as well, right?
So they friends.
Oh,
with
it does
you
it.
too.
They definitely
Automatically?
friends on you fast. It lets you. Yeah. I don't know if it's
Oh.
a setting. I haven't dove into it too much, but
okay.
like if you're in dating, it allows you to look for friendships as well. You just like click on the friend side, right?
Okay.
And so the biggest nuisance I've had is that like killing it. The biggest nuisance I've had is that I get like a ton of dudes that want to match with me as friends,
Oh.
and that one's been really
As
interesting,
friends,
right?
huh? Yeah.
Friends,
Right.
right?
Quote unquote. Yeah.
And so like at first I was like super jazzed about it. I was like, cool.
I'm gonna have a friend.
Poor naive furry.
So sad, actually.
Like I was like, yeah, right? Like
So
Yeah.
innocent.
I would look at the photo like that guy's rock climbing. I like rock climbing. Yeah, that guy's in front of a car. I like cars. This is gonna be great. I'd be like, hey man, you wanna be friends? And be like, yeah, friends.
Do any butt stuff?
And then like
Hold hands.
yeah, can you take your pants off? And I'm like, whoa,
It's
wait
just
a
a kiss.
minute.
Friends
Way.
kiss.
Hey.
Still what friends do.
That came out of nowhere. And after having that happen like 4 or 5 times,
Oh no.
I was like,
What?
I'm really
It
tired
took that
of this.
many
I was
times.
just gonna say 4 or 5 times.
I thought maybe there's
How
like
many
1 or 2.
matches are you making?
You're in a safe space.
I wanna be
Brad.
everyone's
you can,
friend.
You
Oh,
can
well,
say,
well, I wasn't on the friend side, right? But people can like you on the friends, and it
Yeah.
comes up as like, do you want to match with them?
oh.
And so like, be a bunch of dudes. There'd be some women in there too, and I'd be like, why do you want to be friends? And like, they didn't want to be friends.
Yeah.
So like, no one's using the friend side properly
Okay.
at all remotely. It's just another place to hook up with people.
How did that experience make you feel?
Awful, because here's the one that broke my heart. Okay,
Oh,
Oh, my.
there was one that hit
We'll
home.
get into it.
Right? So like, I had one experience with the guy who was like, I just want to be friends, dude. Because I told him,
Yeah.
I was like, hey, I'm into women. I'm here for women. If you want to be friends, we can be friends. He's like, we can be friends. And then we like friended each other. He never spoke to me again. So questionable. But the next one was like a foreigner. And he was like, I would like to be just friends. Right? And I go, okay, cool. I've made myself explicitly clear. I'm looking for women. That's the thing. He goes,
Yeah.
yeah, I get it. You don't want men. I was like, yeah, cool. He goes, so like friends with benefits?
No way.
I'm fucking done.
no
We're
way.
not doing it.
What
So
were
the
the
word
benefits?
friend.
Right. Yeah. What were the
What
benefits?
were the?
Yeah.
Did you ask?
Oh, I blocked him. I was like, I'm done with you,
Yeah, you
dude.
gotta ask what the benefits.
Come on, man.
What if he was like, I'm gonna just give you money to hang out
What
with
if
me?
he
That's the
was-
benefit.
Yeah, you never know.
What if
dude.
he was that Nigerian prince and his benefits was the
no
30 million
way, dude.
that
I
he
think
needed
He's
to get
still
rid of?
out there looking for love.
I think his actual name was Bandu. So like, and he couldn't find money for the Uber he needed. So he was like, hey, can you help me get a ride? I was like, no,
Aw.
I do not trust you in my car with me. I know what your intentions are with me.
Fair enough.
So that one was definitely a heartbreak.
Nobody's brought up LinkedIn? No one? No one.
Dating for professionals.
Yeah.
No
Dude.
doubt.
So, man,
Wait, are we being
anything
serious?
can be a dating
yeah.
app
I've heard
on
of
it,
it.
too.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Dude,
What?
I'm just being enlightened on this episode. LinkedIn, actually, people
People
use
will reach out to you
that. No.
on LinkedIn for non-professional reasons.
It's probably guys. That's usually.
It's always the dot guy.
this
Yeah.
You're on
is
the
really
dot.
attractive,
Yeah.
hey.
That's fair. Speaking of that, I had a couple of Reddit user experiences I wanted to share here because they're freaking. They're
I love
like
these.
the male's perspective like kind of sad, but the female one's like kind of funny, honestly. And so this person said, when I tried dating apps, men who had accomplished a lot less felt that they should be able to control me instead of treating me like a partner. I was like, yikes.
That one hurts.
Yeah, on top of that dynamic, women have to worry about violence a lot more than men do, and that's one I didn't think about because I was like,
how did you
man,
not think about that one?
Yeah.
well, because like
There's Tinder murders.
she's
out there.
talking. She's
Have
talking
you
about
not heard
messages.
about the bear or the man in the woods, sir?
What?
Oh no, he's deleted everything.
Dude,
Are
that's
you
bad.
on the internet? There
I
was
like this bubble.
Yeah.
So there's a whole thing where they, the street interviewers, and
Okay.
they posed the question: would you rather be trapped in the woods with a bear or a man? And a lot of women are saying bear.
Give
over
me
No
bear.
way.
Never
dude.
heard of this one? Oh, it's fascinating.
It's like majority of women are saying bear.
And not
Well, no
only
doubt.
that, but like men hate it. They hate it.
But, like, are
This
people like
is a
that
huge
fucking
trigger.
violent on dating? Like, Jesus Christ, man. That's
The
like,
average man
Yeah.
in the world is disgusting.
Jesus.
I'm getting there. Like, I really am a very positive human being.
Yeah.
And I think that a lot of people are probably normal to your face. And I'm coming slowly to that conclusion that, like, behind closed doors, behind the keyboard, I probably don't want to know a lot of people.
Really?
If you do an experiment once and create a fake Instagram account where
God, I
you're like
knew
a
this was going there.
15-year-old girl,
Oh, no.
No, I'm
watch
good on
what
that.
happens.
No, I'm good.
and you'll see the true side of
Wow.
men out there.
I don't want to know who, but I do. Like,
I
who
you know,
used to
funny.
actually
I
be
think
caught
it'd
in.
be really good for you to start exploring it more.
Why?
Like,
I know
so,
they're awful. They
For
hit
some
on me.
reason, women like true crime. I don't know. I don't get it. I'm
One of them.
Your face.
But we do.
That's all she listens to.
What I find interesting is that you don't care for it. I get it.
Zero
But
interest.
that's why you're probably
Get
so
into it.
ignorant about
No.
it. No. Try just listening to a little bit, watching a little bit, and I think you'd start to realize how common creeps are.
Wow, that's
And
that's
it's like
mortifying.
any
Worse than
situation.
creeps.
Maybe.
You need to desensitize yourself to
Yeah.
Yeah.
the realities of who's walking the streets next
Like,
to you.
I've got three.
Wow.
The three that have me convinced, right? We have Dahmer. We have, who was the handsome one?
Ted Bundy?
Bundy. And then we had,
The good looking one, you know?
yeah, Richard
I don't think it
Ramirez.
was that good looking. But...
I didn't know I was
Charming,
Did you
though.
say Richard Ramirez?
Yeah.
You
he-
find him attractive?
Well,
no, just the
he
people.
he
He was scary.
on a whole he was terrifying,
scary.
but he had a lot of groupies and he was really good looking at one point.
Mm-hmm.
So like if you look
He
up
has some strong facial features.
exactly,
Yeah.
and he was mysterious
Very mysterious.
apparently, but he had like
He
women
liked
in the
Satan.
courtroom like fangirling, like during his sentencing, and like they're
Wow.
like he murdered, killed, raped, bind everything to boys, girls, old people, young people. It did not matter who he killed or what he did to them. There were still females.
And it's not just him.
Oh,
You
it's
can pretty much find any serial killer.
So-
There will be some crazies
fangirls,
out
yeah.
there.
I will
Wow.
give you my argument, because it's a bit of a tangent, on why I don't want to watch the serial killer stuff. And this might just be my experience, right? As a guy, and having grown up around guys, right? Like
What guys have you grown up with?
when high school, like your boys' locker rooms and situations like that, right?
Sure.
Like I've seen the violence that men can create, right? When they're not taken care of as children.
Yeah.
And then there's these looks in certain people's eyes that I've seen that, like, that's a psychopath, right? And I've been close enough to it that I go, I see it. That's for the streets. I don't want to be near it.
Nope.
And
for
I-
the streets.
yeah. it's
Here's
like-
the thing. I'm
what
so
was
sorry.
that?
Please go
Almost
ahead.
finished.
Oh, yes, of
Almost.
course. My bad.
right? And like
Apologize.
my end of things, right, being that like I am somewhat autistic. I didn't always understand cues. So like dealing with some of these unhinged men, like I got into fights without knowing I got into fights. Like I had a fight in school where like I didn't understand the concept of what was going on. The guy grabbed my backpack like here and I was like, that doesn't seem right. So like I grabbed his backpack and I didn't know when to throw the punch. Like I just didn't know. I was like, is he
Just
joking?
holding on to your chest back.
Yeah, that's exactly what it
Are
was.
we
And I was
dancing?
like,
What are we doing?
Yeah, right.
this is gonna be fun,
No
right?
doubt.
And I remember the only thought I had was like, if things go sour, and it was very naive of me, right? Like I had the right leg locked and loaded to knock
Were
him
you
out.
ready to hit someone?
I was
Ah.
almost right, but he'd initiated, right? The only moment I realized it was going to be a fight is when someone grabbed me and yanked me away from the situation. Wow! So like having experienced that stuff, I'm like, I get it. There's a lot of dudes that are unhinged.
See.
I don't need to dive in deeper to how they do it.
So you
I think
I know
you
it's
do.
out there.
You
No, you don't.
you would not make it, is what you're saying, as a woman on a dating app. Apparently, you wouldn't navigate that violence and that danger very well.
That's the thing. Whatever you think you know, it's exponentially worse.
I agree. I don't want to see more of it.
Well, and that's why we wanted to have like
So
your
you
guys'
end up
perspective, because
closed
like
off?
I feel like there's just so much that as like a man that I just don't realize. Like here I am, like for the first time in my life, being like enlightened on like the really nasty side of these dating apps. Like that's not really exactly where I saw this going, but like it's a very real part of it that like I definitely want to talk about.
I will tell you, like I've had experiences where I've had women like 11 o'clock. Hey, do you want to meet up? And I would think to myself like, that's dangerous.
How old are they?
I mean, 28. I mean, throughout the years. Like
11 p.m.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And like
We should be asleep at that.
So they
I
were
was
the
just gonna say, I'll
13%
be
that
in
were
bed.
looking for.
That or like
hookup, yeah.
the thing that I always found crazy is like the women that like wanted to come ride my motorcycle with me, and I'm like, dude, if I was in their perspective, I'm not getting on the
I'm not
motorcycle with a
getting on that
stranger. Like,
motorcycle.
and like cool, like I'm glad you trust me, you know. And obviously, like I drive like I got a brain in my skull, but like they don't know me to be getting on a motorcycle. We could become part of the ground if we go fast.
Well, unfortunately, those are the type of people that become the statistic.
Yeah.
Because they are so ignorant to what's actually out there.
Right.
I just thought, oh my God, it was horrible. There was a story where a girl got raped. Yeah, we're going deep. Got raped, right?
Cheers.
She escaped and then was just walking the road trying to, signal somebody down for help, and some guys pulled over and raped her again.
What the fuck?
What?
Yeah.
No way.
And back to what I said about how most men in the world
You don't want, yeah.
suck.
Wow, man.
And like, I really tried to keep that positive mentality, and I don't know if I can much longer.
You can.
Don't let that. I don't know. Don't let the positivity
Be
make you
aware.
unrealistic either.
I think
I don't know what realistic is.
checkmate. The positivity maybe gave me an unrealistic view of all of the things in danger. I'll take that one on the chin. That's Devon over here. Thanks everybody for coming.
Well, it's all about being aware,
Yeah.
but not allowing that to control and consume how you view life.
For sure.
Yeah, sure.
I could see
You got to
that.
find that healthy balance.
Yeah, for sure.
Which actually brings us to more statistics, right?
There we go.
So a majority of women younger than 50 who have used dating sites or apps have received unwanted sexually explicit messages or images on these platforms.
What? No.
That's
No
impossible.
way.
But we have numbers to prove it.
It's scary. That's just so normal now.
So,
it's like, of course they are.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
So this is going to go, been sent a sexually explicit message or image they didn't like. Men ages 18 to 49, 25%. Men 50 and above, 29%. Women 18 to 49, 56%.
Wow.
I feel like that's higher.
Probably. And then
Surely, yeah.
women 50 plus, 36%.
I feel
Wow.
like,
That one starts to hurt. Had someone continue to contact them after they said they were not interested. Men,
No doubt.
18 to 49, 21%. Men 50 and above, 23%. Women 18 to 49, 43%.
Yep.
And then women 50 and above,
Wow.
29%.
Wow.
Now, we're going to, been called an offensive name. Men definitely got some of it. Women, 37%. And then
That's
been
it.
I was
threatened.
gonna say that seems kind of low, doesn't
Wait,
it?
what was the men's percentage?
That one was 18 to 49 was 19%. And then the women were 37. Then been threatened with physical harm. Men, 4%. And then the older men, 3%. Women, 11%, interestingly enough.
Yeah, I would have figured that would be higher as well.
Yeah.
That one I can see not being
the violence.
too high.
Yeah.
Because physical violence of threat is like not a very common.
Yeah, but the name calling, I'm all
Yeah.
89%.
Yeah.
What's the
Yeah.
most common one? You weren't pretty anyways.
Oh my
You
god.
bitch.
Yeah,
Right.
it's usually it's
Yeah.
usually a bitch and
Fat,
Yeah.
ugly.
Yeah, or a
something,
slut.
right?
that one too. I'm all,
Yeah.
Yeah.
okay.
Right.
So I would say that like the dating apps in general they can be good for connection.
Yeah.
Right? They do actually help connect people, and there's two sides of the coin that I'd like to argue, which I
Yeah.
think we agreed upon at this point, right?
Sure. Yeah. Yeah.
That dating apps, depending on how they're set up, can be used for good or they can be used for evil,
Yeah. For sure.
right?
Yeah.
And I think that we came to the conclusion, I think most of us might, that Tinder was one of the most like risky ones to use, and I have my own argument that for your mental health, it's not fantastic the way
Yeah.
it's set up
Yeah,
compared to other apps, which are, I would say, a lot more leaning towards the healthy.
Yeah.
So for those that maybe haven't tried dating apps,
Why?
Tinder, what?
Why do you say that?
Oh, I'm going to get into it.
Oh, okay. Here we go.
Tinder allows you to just, if you're paid, infinitely swipe, right? So you
Even
can just,
in the early days.
Yeah.
oh, absolutely. So you can look at hundreds
You
of
can't
faces.
now?
You have to pay for it now.
Yeah, when Tinder first started, it was infinite, but then once they came out with the premium side of things and all that,
Like,
it
it will
was,
stop you?
it'll stop
So it
you.
was
Wait, is that when it
bastardized
says you
by
run out of
capitalism?
matches?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They lie.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
doubt.
with Tinder, you can just infinitely match, right? Or swipe, not match, swipe to be very clear. And you can look at hundreds of faces. And one of the things we were discussing about it yesterday is that Tinder specifically uses a very much like a casino style algorithm.
Yep.
So it's designed not to get you to hook up, but to hope you might hook up.
Yeah, they send you the real good looking ones first.
They start you off with the
Yeah,
good
I did
looking
not
ones
know this.
first.
This was new to me last night too. Yeah.
They get progressively less attractive or less valuable according to
Very
what they.
politically correct. Good job.
Well, this is their description,
Less
right?
attractive.
They used to use something called the ELO score, which is a way of ranking people based on social value. And so people with a higher ELO score, meaning people that were matched more or liked more often, were ranked higher, and they were thrown at people at first. And then as you liked more and more people, you'd get less and less attractive people ranked lower on the ELO score,
No
which
doubt.
Tinder was heavily criticized for. But then, every once in a while, as you're starting to get tired of swiping, it would throw in a high ELO score person
No doubt.
and then keep you going.
Man, no
Dopamine.
way.
I noticed
Dopamine
that.
hits. They're designed to do dopamine hits. And it's been shown that Tinder themselves put on a certain amount of bots, fake people, to draw in a bigger audience.
Yeah, I think that's more from the male perspective. I think they do that. Like, what did you guys see bots? Like, I see tons and tons. Like, at least, man, like
No one's trying to honeypot you?
like three or
No
4 out
Fabio
of 10
for ya?
are bots for sure. Yeah, 3 or 4 out of 10 I would say are bots,
Yeah.
and like
That's-
very blatantly, obviously bots.
Bot.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I get some weird ones. Like, I kid you not. This is one that I recall because I come across it so much. It's a minestrone one.
What?
The profile, the name is minestrone.
Oh.
Pictures are just different soups.
Really?
There's
Yeah,
just random ones
on-
out there, yeah.
On Tinder around here, it's some profile called Queen.
Oh, yeah, Queen. I've seen that one quite a
Queen.
few times.
I don't know.
Your minestrone one is a man who wants to watch the world burn. That's what that is. He's just made 30 profiles of minestrone.
It is hilarious.
I believe that.
Sometimes at any time I come across those weird ones, I'm like, let's see what they've got.
Yeah.
So
Let's see what we can get to here.
I came to my own personal conclusion that Tinder as a concept is wildly unhealthy for people, being that it gives you this false perspective that you have all these potential options when realistically they're not actually showing you to admit a lot of those options because your ELO score most likely doesn't match the ones you actually want. So you get a false perspective of like, I can have anyone I want, and then you're fed in with, I don't actually get very many matches, but then you get like dopamine hits.
Yeah, well, that's what I wanted to
Maybe,
share here because, like,
maybe.
the male perspective from Reddit was pretty much that, right? Like, he said, all I know is that in roughly a year's worth of my time using several apps, my results were as follows. On Tinder, maybe 10 matches, no conversations that led to dates, let alone sex. So we can take a guess what he was on there for. I reported the same profile multiple times to the bots. Because they kept recommending that profile, and then the support was a joke. He said I even paid for a month of it, got an extra 3 matches, but then like never ended up going anywhere with that. Bumble 5 matches total, 3 of which unmatched before their 24-hour point. Had like because on Bumble the women have 24 hours to message, so he said 3 of them unmatched before that expired even. And then
bastard.
Facebook dating, several matches, all bots and scammers. Iris, no, that's I don't know about Iris.
Don't know about that one.
He said not enough people on there, so that one must have
Grindr,
not
on the
been
other
available,
hand.
right? Plenty of fish. Oh my God, there's so many bots and fake profiles in all big bold letters. And then he said, so my experience has been abysmal. My already weak ego has been hit repeatedly, trying over and over, and genuinely feel like I'm going to be forever alone for a long time. So like, that's the worst of our experience. I feel like that's like starkly different from like
Bots.
the side that you guys shared, you know, which is eye-opening, right? I mean, I don't know. So that's like on both ends is pretty rough, but I think your end's a bit
So,
more significant.
oh, absolutely.
Girl,
For
true
sure.
love or murder.
Right.
Speaking
The
of love,
female side.
No, you don't have like a middle section of like just being ghosted, or are you becoming the ghost?
It's
I think that's
usually
more of a
No,
male
oh my god,
perspective
that was
thing.
dark.
yeah.
That was dark. That is
In
good.
what way?
Yeah.
Now that is tasteful humor.
That was bad. That was bad. So yeah, like we were discussing how some of these apps can be done in a healthy manner, some can be done unhealthy. I think Tinder specifically gives it a false narrative of what you can achieve,
Yeah.
what you can accomplish as a man. I don't know how it is for women, so that's more on your guys' end. That hopefully you guys can enlighten us
Yeah.
on your experience. But for men, I would say, just because you're shown what's subjectively a 9 or a 10
Yeah.
doesn't mean she's going to look at you, and it
Yeah.
really doesn't mean she's going to, match with you.
Yeah.
So that can definitely be kind of hurt the ego. And I actually had a little fun experimenting with Tinder because it was such an atrocious place at times.
Yeah.
And you did see a lot of that. Like you're not being shown until you pay or things of that nature. And so I would call that like the unhealthy version of dating apps. Whereas you start moving on to things like Facebook dating, which I think was actually pretty fantastic.
That one seems untainted so far, or at least a little bit better in this pool of different.
Bumble was pretty good, as was Hinge. And the reasons that I would argue they were much healthier for people actually trying to find connection is because they each rewarded you for actually messaging individual people. So Bumble, the woman has to like you first, of course, and then you can message, right? So the score is a little bit lower there because it really asks the woman to make the first move.
Yeah.
Lower scores, but with Facebook dating, you are way more likely to match with somebody if you say something funny, witty, interesting to gain someone's attention. You have to peacock, so to speak. It's a bit more like if you were going to a bar and you were trying to talk to a woman, right?
Yeah.
It's hi doesn't get you very far.
Yeah.
But oh my God, your shoes, they're the same color as da 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 da. And now you have a conversation going. Same
Is that
kind
your
of
opener?
concept. What?
Is that your opener usually?
I've used it every once in a while. It works.
No
Yes.
way.
Oh, absolutely. You have to say.
You don't have the numbers on that?
No.
Come on, man.
I don't remember.
What's
All I
the
know-
average pickup line
Right.
that works?
Yeah, right. It's because a lot of it that I've noticed in just my own seeing is that having the cojones to go talk to a woman
Yeah.
is like 50% of the battle. And that goes the same for the dating apps, right? And then you have Hinge, who doesn't let you swipe. You have to do something, or you can hit next. And so those seem to be a much more healthy way of dating, whereas Tinder is just a terrible cesspool of people trying to stick it in each other.
Yeah, I agree. I definitely liked
Eloquent
Hinge.
way of
Probably out of all of them, I liked Hinge the most. But that's not to say Tinder was all bad either, dude. Because like some of like the best partners I've ever had are from Tinder. So like I don't know. I've kind of had like good and bad experiences across them all, I guess. But Hinge's
almost,
motto is the app that's designed to be deleted. I feel like that's at least, even if it's like kind of puffed up with hot air, it's still like a pretty decently wholesome statement.
But almost devil's advocate to the whole thing is that dating apps themselves, in general, are almost bad for people.
Okay,
Yeah.
let's hear it.
Because any app you go on, you're faced with tens and hundreds of people that you're just like, no, yep, no, yep, no, yep, no, yep, no,
Agreed.
yep, all day long. So it almost like poisons your mind in a sense
Desensitizes your brain.
to where you're finding any excuse with somebody to drop them, and because you're like,
You're
oh, well,
always looking for something
I've got
more.
1,000 other people
Yeah,
I can
yeah.
choose from, and she's
Yeah.
got weird fingers.
This
I didn't
man.
know that.
She's got
Done.
weird
I'm gonna go
fingers.
back to the app. Like,
Yeah.
so before dating apps, before social media, before the internet, it was you bumped into each other at the bookstore. The sun was shining the right way, and the birds were
that's fair,
chirping,
yeah.
and you found that love story right there.
Yep.
And then you fell in love. But now you're like, yeah, let's go on a date.
This
Oh, your nose looks weird.
This is the
Yeah.
argument I've been trying to make about these dating apps, that you desensitize yourself, and when you look at so many people, and this happens for men and women, right?
Yeah, I've definitely experienced the burnout for sure.
You get burnout,
Yeah.
you look at so many people, and you have this mentality of there's always a next one, which means you have little to no incentive to commit to the last one.
Especially if you have like any sense of like actual like success on the dating apps. Like it'd be like one
Yeah.
thing if you're the poor guy who like had like
I got one.
three matches and they all
Yeah.
unmatched before the 24-hour period. But like if you have like any measure of success on the apps, like you're totally right. Like I could definitely see.
I think whatever you practice is what you become good at, right? And I was once told by people very close to me that if you don't make a commitment in a relationship, you're practicing breaking up, which means you're practicing divorcing for the future.
Yep.
Right? And then I feel like the dating app is just throwing that concept on steroids and just burning through that practice, you become very good at hitting next.
That almost brings me back to something I wanted to say earlier when you mentioned casual dating.
Yeah.
I don't believe in casual dating. Date is practice for marriage.
Yes.
So if you're going to date somebody, there's nothing casual about that. It's let's practice our future together.
Yep.
This is the time now to learn the ugly, the true, everything, and how well we are compatible with each other. And that's where the dating app culture kind of mixes bad with that, because people think, oh, happy butterflies 24/7.
Yeah.
And then the second that starts to fall down a little bit, it's like, oh, this isn't going to work out later.
There's
And
always
the
the app you can always return. And it becomes scary though, right? Because you can have that person, you have to try really hard and say, you know what? They have flaws. I'm okay with them. I like the person. It's just so easy to fall into the like, let's see what the lottery brings next.
Yeah.
And that I just think is detrimental beyond belief.
Yeah. And it's okay to be like, okay, this is not going to work out clearly.
Right.
Sure.
Yeah.
And walk away. But, oh, we got in one little fight. Or we disagreed on, she likes peas and I don't.
Right.
This isn't going to work out.
Do you
Like,
think
You have
that
a thing
happens,
for peas, right?
I hate peas.
He does.
do you think that happens more on like the side of men or women though? Like, do you think, given, what do you guys think? I mean,
That's a good question.
Have you guys ever experienced that or ever seen that like happen, or have you ever like considered cutting it short early because of the plethora of options? Maybe like.
I don't know. It's kind of, I don't know. I feel like, well, first of all, when we met, I was also super young and in a different stage in my life. So I also think it has to do with like where you were. Like I was 21 when we met.
Wow, that's cool.
Yeah. So when you're 21, like I didn't want to hook up with anyone, but I also didn't necessarily want to be in a full-time relationship. I didn't want to, like, I was just
Hungry.
hungry.
Well,
But
you did. You said you ghosted him for a while, right?
I did, well,
It was
yeah.
a couple days. Yeah.
Yeah, well, it goes back to the reason why I was on it, and it wasn't necessarily just for food.
I know. I just
Not
love
a
that
bad
part.
person.
Yeah. So, but I was on Tinder for ego. So,
Oh, see,
yeah.
I can relate to that. 'Cause that's
Damn.
in the
Things just got
beginning.
serious.
That's
That's a
what I
good-
was there
yeah,
for, and
that's
that's
a good
why I
one.
said I had such a horrific experience. With
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
So I wasn't on there for technically anything except for
Validation.
yeah,
Validation,
because
yeah.
I was in a serious relationship for a long time, like throughout high school and stuff, and you know we broke up, and it was like pretty horrific, and he was awful, and so being 20 to 21 and having your first real big heartbreak,
Oh,
it was actually my mom who was like, just go date, like have
No
guys
way.
like buy you dinner and don't talk to them, like just go out, like be 21, like it was
oh my goodness.
it was that like
Why didn't mom ever tell me that?
she was like I mean I was heartbroken, so she was just
yeah.
like
Yeah.
don't be serious with anything, just go be free. And so that was kind of why I got on Tinder. And so even then, even my pictures on Tinder, I had two pictures. One was like a selfie, very up close, like no cleavage, no anything. I had a hat on. I was at Disneyland and I had a hat on.
Nice.
And then I had a picture of me with my Wrangler at the time off-roading, and it was a faraway picture.
That's the one that got you, huh? That's the one, huh?
And it was a faraway picture. So I was like purposely like, hey now. I was purposely like not trying
yeah.
to show off, like, so it
Yeah.
wasn't like that kind of thing. And my bio, and he'll tell you, the only thing in my bio said, I'm kind of an asshole, period.
That's a
That was
challenge,
it.
though. That's a challenge.
That was it.
All right. Let's see.
He said,
Yeah,
challenge
I was an athlete.
accepted.
Yep. You were the epitome of buy me tacos and tell me I'm pretty.
I really was.
Yep.
She's
And I-
still that way.
But that's the thing. And I also, it's funny because when you talked about how people calling you at 11 p.m. or whatever to go out to eat, I only did lunch.
Yeah, not even dinner.
So I actually didn't do any dinner with anyone.
Right, because like
That's
who's gonna try to get you to come home with them at like 1
that's
o'clock
not-
in the afternoon
Yeah.
after lunch?
And I
like,
also had a reason to leave.
yeah.
So
right.
I only did lunch. I did like coffee. I did like a lot of like tapas stuff. Like there's like tea houses and things like that. Like, so I used it as like, I'm 21. I can go to a bar. Like I
Yeah.
can go to a cafe. I could go do something, you can pay for it, and then I'm gonna be like, oh,
Bounce.
So
gotta
for all
go.
the women watching,
Did that ever did that
take
ever
notes.
not work? Did you ever get any like backlash for that? And like people be like, "Fuck you, I'm not paying for this," you know?
No, because here's the thing though, is I also
You vetted
always
them.
offer
Oh.
to pay for my own stuff. But
which,
I know,
which, by the way, is like all I ever need. Like, if that's
it
all that
melts
ever
me.
mattered to me. If you
Yeah.
offer, I'm like, nah, I got it. Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Appreciate you for offering.
but that's
like,
the thing
I
is
got it.
like, at the end of the day, I mean, I'm not like I will pay for my own stuff. I have, I have money. I was working too. Like it wasn't
Yeah,
like
yeah.
I wasn't like a starving college student that like needed it either.
Yeah.
I more so was doing it to like be out and have fun and stuff. So of course I would offer, and I wouldn't order anything that I couldn't afford. So at the end of the day, it
Yeah.
wasn't necessarily exactly that like come buy me food and I'm never gonna talk to you again.
The ego though. You
But it
want
was
ego.
definitely like the ego. Yeah, like tell me I'm pretty. I'm gonna get dressed up, and then I know you're gonna like me, and I'm gonna be like,
Who doesn't like free food?
Damn.
But yeah,
I
I know you're gonna like me.
If I had that
Yeah,
option,
well-
I would do it.
Yeah.
Hey, if you got it. Use
I
it,
mean,
right?
I
it's
did.
like-
I went out on multiple dates like within a day.
wow.
Like
You shame me for
Your
that.
time management is impeccable.
I run my own business.
Well, there you go.
Very
Like, I've
true.
always been like that. But yeah, no, I had like an early lunch like thing, and then I went to a movie and like an early dinner with someone like right after. But except that one did backfire because the first guy really liked me and
Yeah.
didn't want me to leave. And like it did turn into a weird thing, which you ended up falling into that because then I met you shortly after.
Oh,
that
yeah.
was the guy that was like texting me, and he
Yeah.
was very strange.
Please don't leave.
Dude, I had
Yeah.
I had a dude follow me
What?
from a girl's house one time, and yeah, that was freaking crazy.
Oh.
I had to like get out and like be like, "Hey, bro, like,
Yeah. Oh yeah.
what's up?
Uh-huh.
You know, like don't follow me. You don't know where you're at. You
Yeah.
know, like yeah, that was bad. That was my
Follow
only
me.
like
I
one.
have a dungeon.
Yeah.
I talked to you about mine. Do you remember that?
You'll have to refresh my memory.
Oh yeah, I had a situation where I was kind of like was talking to a girl and like some other dude was involved and I was like sprung on me and he was unhinged
Yeah.
and I was like
Oh yes.
sitting in my
Yep.
car. I was like, "Do not test me, sir.
Yeah,
Don't
dude.
test me. You will meet the Lord." And yeah, like that stuff happens and it's
Wow.
Yeah.
and it's you're right. It's always an unhinged dude.
Yeah, I think that's
I-
a
How
clue.
that works.
In my personal opinion, I believe like there's nothing more unpredictable than an upset man.
Oof.
Nothing.
You chose the bear.
Not a bear. A bear you can scare off.
Right.
It can kill you, but it can also be easily scared off. Not a dude. Not
I
when
do
they're
agree
upset and
with
they
her
want
on that.
something.
Yeah,
it is
that's
very.
fair.
It's a fair statement.
I don't disagree. I think I'm getting there.
So I'm very careful with how I approach dates. I will
don't.
rarely let a dude pay for me. Doesn't matter what it is.
Really?
Dinner, drinks. I
Use it-
usually get the first date, even if I am invited out.
Really?
That's-
Just because
yeah.
you don't want the
The
obligation or anything, or like
so
you don't
if-
want like
it
you don't want to
depends.
owe them anything at all.
I don't trust that person for the first date. No, you don't
Yeah.
know them. You don't know
That's
what
fair,
they're gonna
yeah.
expect
Yeah.
from you back. But if I'm like jiving with them, I'm happy to get it for the both of
That's
us.
cool.
Yeah.
Nice.
That makes sense. But I also think like that's how you feel now, right?
I always,
Always
even
have?
since I was, in my younger days.
Yeah, right. I know we don't want to talk about the now age, but back when, yeah, because that's what I'm saying. At 21, I would offer for my, pay for myself, but I had no problem with someone paying for me at 21 because also the money you're making at 21 is not the same. Like,
yeah, right, sure.
so that's why I said like I would never order
Just
anything.
go on less dates.
Yeah, no, not at that point in my life. I was like, I'm gonna schedule them like meetings, like.
Have my appointment book.
Yeah.
My dates have gotten progressively worse the older I've gotten.
Really?
It's so depressing. Yeah.
That brings us something that got me curious, but finish your statement.
Yeah, of course. So I used to go on nice dates. We'd go to a nice place for dinner or do an event. And like one of the last dates that I told you, they invited me out. The amount of effort that dudes want to put in, or really the lack of effort, is just astounding. Truly astounding.
Huh.
This guy invited me to a Starbucks. And I got there and I was like, this is at Abash's. And I told him, like, dude, this is at Abash's.
God.
Like, and I was like, oh, I'm so sorry. Okay, here's another one. Albertsons.
Huh.
So we had a date
Not
at
even
an
an actual
Albertsons.
Starbucks.
Yeah.
You weren't worth an actual Starbucks.
Dirty pants, t-shirt, hat.
Oh
I think it
man.
was bald,
I
but
have a very good theory
like
on that. But
just
I do too.
such
I'd love
a
to hear
lack of
yours.
effort.
Yeah.
it's probably the same, but it's just the longer you stay single, the more set in your ways
The more
Mm.
tired
you are,
get, yeah.
and
I think you don't have anybody to like brush up against and be like, hey, dude, what the fuck?
yeah, and
Yeah.
it's just like you just don't care to put in
Mm.
any effort at that point because
yeah.
you're so comfortable with being with yourself.
And it
At
may
that
have
point.
worked. It may have worked at times, and you keep rewarding that same kind of mechanism.
Yeah.
I have a similar theory, but it goes the longer you are on dating apps, and that goes for men and women. I think you fall into like this cycle, which is the ghosts. You fall into a cycle of like you just try, nothing happens. Try, nothing happens. Try, nothing happens. So you put in progressively less effort, and you're sabotaging yourself. You don't realize it because you're trying still, but you're just sabotaging. You're the dude that shows up in dirty pants and wrong Starbucks and hey, you should like me, right? Nope. Well, I predicted this would go that way, and then it
And
just
there's
gets
a
worse
thousand
and
other
worse.
options that
Yeah.
I'll choose from.
And then they go there. And I have a theory in general that the nasty side of the dating apps is you get that burnout because you keep looking at all these faces, right? And you desensitize yourself so much to all these faces that like nobody really stands out anymore. Whereas it's too easily accessible, kind of like pornography, so to speak, right?
Yeah.
Like it desensitizes you to people in real life.
Yeah.
Whereas I would say that if you were to go look real back in time, where people actually had chivalry, so to speak, you had to try for a woman. You had so few options, and you had plenty of men trying to get those options. You had to stand out. You had to put an effort, and you had to be the best version of yourself so that some woman would want you. So
I
to
see you
speak.
kind of thinking too. I think my theory on
The
that, you
opposite.
still have to do that to some degree. I think because like I would argue that like most women have like a pretty fair amount of likes and messages in their inbox, and like you said earlier, high's not really gonna cut it. Like you're definitely gonna have to say something super like maybe, and then like send a message or like say something of some substance.
Yes, you do to some
Yeah.
extent, but like you have that concept of there are so many times you've done this already, you burn out. You see all the same faces almost because they all start to blend in. That's what I talk about, that burnout. You see too many.
Yeah.
No one's just as pretty anymore, right? Like I've noticed when I was off dating apps, when I wasn't dating anybody, when I went completely celibate for like 9 months, I didn't talk to women. I would go out. I didn't so much as watch a naked scene on TV kind of a thing, right?
Yeah.
Sorry, guys.
No, it's okay. We're all just like focused on the
The
baby.
baby.
Make sure the baby's okay.
I would go out in public, and every woman was so much prettier. Like you gave yourself that chance to reset your brain, and everybody was so much prettier. They were much more interesting because
Yeah.
I didn't have that preconceived like burnout.
Well, you just didn't have that
Times
dopamine
have
hit. Like
changed.
you
Yeah.
weren't burnt out on that dopamine hits. You
Yeah.
know, like like you said that sunshine was just coming through perfect because you haven't seen it so perfect
Yeah.
and all the images that you swiped
Yeah.
on and like yeah, that's fair. That's
I
fair.
think what you're saying is the effort that men have to put in isn't changed over time. It's the men's perception of what effort they have to put in.
Okay.
It's
Bingo.
changing.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like the dating world right now is not the same as what it was decades ago. Like
No.
Yeah.
the environment for women is just vastly different. Decades ago, women did need to get married. They relied on men so much more than they do now. So now women are for the most part more comfortable to be alone, not necessarily want it, but they're okay with it if they need to be. They have higher standards, they have higher expectations, they've got their own salaries. They can build their life, but I don't think that shift has changed for the men, not in their mentalities. They're still looking for what they used to have. Want a housewife,
It's an
want somebody
interesting
who's going to stick
concept
around.
because the younger generation didn't know that existed. They were taught that.
What do you mean?
Like a kid growing up isn't gonna be like, I'm looking for a housewife someday. Like you have to be taught that concept.
Sure.
That's fair. Yeah.
So like that had to come from somewhere is what I'm getting at.
Sure.
I will say there's an interesting
But
phenomenon.
you got to adapt too. So you can either choose to adapt to what's happening right now or just hold on to this thing that you might not be able to find as much
I would blame
anymore.
the people teaching, so to speak. Like I have a pretty strong opinion that kind of deviates from this. Like, and I think you and I probably agree on this one,
Yeah,
right?
probably.
Like you need strong leaders, typically men, right? Like if you have a man that's a strong father figure, you're going to teach a kid to do the right thing, especially men or growing men, boys, right? If a good father teaches his son to like respect a woman, you get good out, right? You're putting good in, you get good out. When you lack a father, when you have a father that's not really present, you start to get people that just have no idea and start to go based off like hedonistic values.
Yeah.
Like, this feels fun.
Maybe that's why I was like so blind to like the really negative side of the dating apps too, because like where I come from and the way my dad taught me, like that was just like not even a concept to penetrate my brain, you know, to like to be violent or to be creepy or to like ever even consider like anything without like an enthusiastic yes or like, you know.
I'm prime example. I had no father growing up, so I went to the pleasures and went to be a heathen for a while.
I mean, don't kid yourself. I've been a heathen too, but like,
no, I had no father figure in my life, no male teaching me how to treat women, how not to treat women, and average person has general moral guidelines, like obviously don't beat women and don't rape women, but it's like I did the heathen thing, and
I think we can all say that to some extent, although I had a different reason, because I had a fantastic father and mother who were like, don't do these things, right? For me, it was an ego problem where I would pursue women, right, to soothe my ego, because I grew up thinking that I was like this little ugly duckling thing, right? Like, that's never going to happen for me, so I'd prove to myself each time, which just shows a different side of the lack of maturity that I had at the time, right? Yeah. You thought you were a certain thing. I'm the kind of person that needs to prove myself wrong. Mm-hmm. Like, I can do this. And I took it to a very toxic and hedonistic, trajectory as well.
Yeah.
And that was with a good parental figure, right? So there's a couple of elements that I think need to stand in there. However, I also had no friends at the time that would, like, push against it.
Yeah.
So I think it starts with, like, strong father figure and then create a strong group of friends that keep you in check.
Did he really? Did Dad really talk to you about that kind of stuff?
Oh, my God. You don't know the rules.
Nobody talked to me. Mom didn't talk to me. Dad didn't talk to me about this is what you deserve. This is what you should do.
No, that's fair.
Nothing.
I don't know if they had that conversation with
Nothing.
you. My father came
Dad
out.
would never. He would actually actively avoid having any kind of conversation like that with me. And if I would bring it up, he'd either ever call somebody that was dating my friend, never anything but a friend.
I got the same
or
one, though.
entirely change the subject.
Same. I got those two things. I never had girlfriends. They're like, Farid's bringing his friend over.
No. He was much more welcoming of the ladies.
I forced it. You didn't see that side of it. I forced it. There was one day I came and I was like,
friendly with them.
Well, yeah, because like I knew how to play that game.
He's charming when he wants to.
He does.
Dumb it up.
But I had to game that one for a little while. So you weren't alone there. But I got the talk. I was given rules. I was told if you drink, if you do drugs, if you have sex, don't come home. That was what I was told.
What?
The door
You and I had a
locked.
very different childhood.
Yes,
so
I was just right next door.
My question would be, and you can answer it or not, but did your parents show you with how they acted how you should treat your significant other?
Dad did. I would say Dad did. And Mom was, she was Mom. They get a little grumpy with each other. But, like, for the most part, I would see Dad going to the grocery store, always calling Mom, can I get you anything? Or doing little things to make sure Mom was happy. So I would say yes. I'm sure you had a different experience.
Very different perspective.
Wow. Well.
I don't know. They fought a lot.
They fought
a lot. So much. They still fight a lot.
They still fight a lot. But I do realize that at the Costco, Dad still
Yeah, you
calls.
have a lot of admiration for Dad.
I do have
so
a lot of
much,
admiration.
and
Yeah.
I don't know. I think I
Yeah.
see them as
People.
I have an outside
Humans.
perspective.
Yeah.
Like they both have such flaws that they refuse to change.
They do. They're humans. I acknowledge that. Like I think we've had ad nauseum talks with them about it. And
We were just kind of talking about this. Like, is it a parent
Right.
thing? Is it a religious thing? Like, why do parents
Right.
always think they're right?
it's a hard-headed thing.
So stubborn.
Yeah.
Well, so speaking of being stubborn, I think that like that's what kind of like led me to have the negative experiences that I had with dating apps and things like that. But like to maybe kind of segue into the positive side of it. Like we have two people who met, married, known each other for a long time, and have their success story off of Tinder. I, personally have had in recent years much more positive experiences for my reasons. And then what?
I'm gonna turn on the AC.
Oh yeah.
Yes. Because I can see she's dying. He's starting to bake.
Was I
And there's a
obvious?
baby in the
It's-
room. I'm
it's-
turning
Okay.
on the AC.
Yeah. Okay. Go ahead.
It's just a natural glisten.
Here,
right.
then at that point, I'm gonna get her pacifier real quick.
Yeah. Do it.
She made a statement that I want to hear it. Go ahead, please.
These days, I'm like still on apps, still using them.
Okay.
But sometimes I open it, I see the matches, I see the messages, and I just put it down and just stop.
You're just like,
I'm just-
no,
like,
we're
it
just
gets-
not going there
It
today.
gets so I'm trying because there's not a bunch of organic ways, at least for me, to meet people. So this is like one of the only chances I get. It's just so tiring.
Yeah.
You get to
You're in
the
that
point where you
burnout
just
phase, man.
don't
for
want to
sure.
try anymore.
Is it like that dopamine hit you're hoping for? Like, oh, I should
No.
do this, and then no.
No, like try, and like it's me pushing myself to get back out there, keep trying. But it's also like I've done this so many times before. It's just not working. I
Yeah.
don't know what to respond to a wave or a hey, sup, bae.
Bae.
It's always the younger dudes.
What's up, Bay?
Sup, bae.
Nice.
I'd like to take this 'cause as we move into our conclusion of this, right? That like we've kind of commonly agreed that like at least Tinder, super unhealthy.
Yeah.
These dating apps in general can give you a proclivity for using it in an unhealthy manner, but we should also give the viewers like, how do we make this functional? How do we make this something that can be a tool that you can use positively? Maybe put some discipline in there to
Yeah.
like really get us to we want to date still, right?
Well, I
and the
think-
apps do help to some extent.
Well, making it a tool, right? Like that's the biggest thing that like sticks out to me is because like I don't want kids, and like yes, I am sure. Like I have made sure of it. I don't want kids. Like I can't. So, like for me, that's huge. Like because that's not like a oh hey where do you like to eat? Do you hate Italian? Oh like it's like no, this is a life altering decision of like our lives are going to look this way or this way, and if you want it to look that way, that's cool. Not for me. So like for me, it's been a huge tool to where like I don't have to meet 5-10 people organically who are all like, well, yeah, I want kids, because like arguably most people do, you know, and I don't have to go through that. I can just like start off with like I don't have to ask this deal breaker, or I don't have to go on 10 dates to be like finally somebody who doesn't want to have kids.
That
You
hasn't
know.
worked for me. In my bio, I will say no baby daddies, please. And I'll still get messages from like, I'm a baby daddy, is that a problem?
Yes.
Like,
You're like, yes.
Yeah.
pourquoi?
He couldn't read. You don't want someone
He
who
read
can't
it
read.
and still went for it.
But I think arguably too, like
I have kids, I just don't see them enough.
Oh.
That's the only
Wow.
You're also not good.
Right. I think arguably too, like my experience got better the more effort I put into it. Like
Yes.
I just think that like dating apps and like maybe this is not a good parallel. I don't know. I'm gonna make it anyway. Dating apps are kind of like for me, like for therapy. You can get absolutely nothing out of therapy if you don't put anything into it. The
Yeah.
same as like the dating apps. Like I put a lot of effort in my profile. You can get at least a decent idea of who I am, what I want, what I'm looking for, and like I'm in there with like a more positive mindset. Like I know what I'm after. Like I'm not there for the validation. I'm not there for like the subjectively wrong reasons, and like that's where my like experience started to go more in the inflection of positivity.
I just realized
What?
our dating app profiles are basically help wanted ads to fill a position.
I mean, yeah,
Roll,
Yep.
that's fair.
Position wanted,
Right.
girlfriend needed.
We'll compensate with tacos.
We'll compensate. Tacos and compliments.
Right. No doubt. She's like, come on.
She's like, I know why I'm here, guys. I've set my mind up. Yeah.
I just got a ping from Tinder reminding me to use it. It's
Did
like
you-
the first step is to talk to someone.
Actually, let
Yeah.
me see. They're
knows.
intrusive. They're very intrusive.
Oh, yeah.
I would say that I think the first step would be to de-gamify the dating apps. Don't treat it like a game, right? Because that's how they get you, right? There's always a catch, and it wants to be this constant casino of like, I'm gonna hit the lottery. I'm gonna find that one hottie that I got, and like,
Yeah.
it's a lottery game kind of a thing. That would probably be the first step, and then the second would be absolutely put in effort, because anything you put in
Yeah.
effort to typically yields some kind of results. But I'd also encourage, like, go out and talk to people.
Yeah,
You
that's right.
don't only have to do it on the app.
Yeah.
And I would think that for men specifically, that's probably really good discipline to have, to like, go be afraid. Talk to a girl. It's
Yeah.
scary, yes. She might say no to you. And like, I would say that men have the disadvantage, so to speak, that like we get rejected a lot.
Rejection builds character.
Rejection builds character. Rejection's a good thing.
Or takes what small little sliver of hope you had and crushes it.
I mean, effectively. But
Yeah.
like, I think for men to build character, it's a fantastic thing to
Yeah.
get told no.
That's fair.
And,
I
like-
think another benefit of it though is like is if you
You gotta
are
be
like
able to
that
hear no.
painfully
Well,
shy.
yeah. Like, more importantly, hold on with that thought, right? Like,
Yeah.
be told no and be okay with it. That's
It's not a bad thing.
That's
I
the
agree.
character building part about
Yeah.
it, right? Right? What? Yeah, like it builds character to like understand that no means no, and like you move on. They probably weren't your right fit, but
Well,
now
Yeah,
continue.
that's
But-
fair.
I mean, let's-
you mean?
Let's say it like this:
Yeah.
if you go interview for a job and they say no, what do you stop?
Burn
going
the
to
place
job
down.
interviews? Do you stop? You need a job, so you say okay, and you go to the
Yeah.
next job and you interview there and
No, that's fair.
until you get a job.
Yeah, that's actually a great.
If
way
I
of
can't
putting
have the
that.
job, no one can.
Damn. They all wild.
I saw a funny video. It was like it's two Muslims praying. It's a woman and a man.
Yeah.
And the guy's praying. She's praying out loud, and she goes, "May my future husband be patiently waiting for me, and if he doesn't find me, let him die."
Oh my god.
It's just the joking and the toxicity is what makes it funny.
Yeah.
It's a loving joke.
It's
of
a
course.
loving joke. You see the man just go.
Fair.
So-
Yeah. I don't know, man. I think, yeah. It's definitely on a spectrum like anything else, you know, and it's like your perspective, your your work effort, and a lot of other things that you put into dating apps is probably going to dictate how it goes.
Yep.
You know?
Absolutely.
No, I mean, obviously. I mean, you guys are a success story. It's not all bad. I've
Yeah.
had better experiences, even though I'm not on that end of like having a success story, kind of. And like I've also deleted all my accounts, but like that doesn't mean I haven't had positive experiences with it, or I haven't had times where I'm like, you know what, these are all right, and this is a good tool, and this is a
Your perspective of how you go into it also helps a lot, right?
Yeah,
If you go
yeah.
into it saying like, I'm going to do my best, and I'm going to hope for the best, and come in with that positive, open mentality.
be told no and be okay
Be
with it.
told no
you
and be
know?
okay with it.
Yeah.
Guys, don't be douchebags.
But also understanding the realistic side of what you're gonna go into, and not like I'm gonna find love, and
Yeah.
and then the second you don't find that for a long time, you're like
Pissed.
beat
Yeah.
to the ground. Like if you go in and you're like, all right, I understand.
Pause.
What? There's Osmo.
Osmo. What's wrong with Osmo?
I don't know.
Uh-oh.
We still-
Might be.
He's not plugged in.
Oh.
Buddy.
When did he die?
can resolve this quickly.
But how long?
Oh, he just died. Like that's why I kept
Oh, okay.
Like he literally just said, "No, thank you."
Yeah. Honestly, if that's the only technical issue we have, thank Christ.
Right.
Yeah.
Dude, when we first started and that started making weird noises, I was like, no. Man, because it's awful.
Give Osmo just a second
Yeah,
here.
no worries, no worries.
All
Cool.
right. So basically, what I was saying is having the realistic expectation of what the environment is that you're walking into.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
because if you go in expecting that you're gonna find this magical love on the first swipe, you're gonna be dead.
Right.
beat
That's the
down.
highlight reel they use for marketing.
Yeah.
Like, that's not reality.
But knowing that you will come across disgusting men or vile women or whatever. Hey, I'm speaking profoundly here, John. No, I'm just kidding. I love her.
She's done fantastic, though, dude.
She's done a great
We're
job.
an hour and 20 minutes in. She's
Yeah.
done fantastic.
But yeah, just have that realistic expectation so you know when you do come across somebody who doesn't swipe on you or somebody who sends you a
Yeah.
peenie pic or
That's a funny one. Never heard that one. A peenie pic.
something like that. You can go, okay, I knew this was going to happen, and you can keep going.
Yeah,
You can
not be
keep
so
pursuing,
discouraged by
and
it.
eventually you can swipe right on your future wife.
Ah,
Abso-
bravo, sir. Bravo. Bravo.
You should marry this guy.
I should.
Yeah. And by the way, for people not knowing, peenie pic is for pictures for penises, but less smaller.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
It's like a penis, but smaller. So there you go.
It's teeny.
Dang.
It's a teeny peeny.
Dude, the
Teeny
moment
peeny
that,
pic.
that iPhone and Apple comes out with this emoji, the world is going to tilt off
Yeah.
its axis.
There's
Yep.
gonna be a lot of heartbroken men.
Oh, dude. No
Reality
doubt.
check.
Yeah.
Oh God, that's a great perspective. You get what you put into it, kind of
Yeah.
a thing.
Yeah.
You should understand the world is the world that it is, right? You should probably go out there and try to do it in the real world and kind of have the same expectation on dating apps, so to speak, and use it as
Yeah.
a tool. Have discipline. Do not sit there and swipe infinitely for all,
Yep.
thousands of hot singles in your area, kind of a thing, right?
Right.
That
And-
ad lied.
That
Right. There's like
hot
three
single
at
moms
best.
want you. Yeah, and understand that like you can hurt yourself on these apps, right?
Yeah.
You can
100%.
desensitize yourself. You can absolutely ruin the experience for yourself,
Yeah.
and it doesn't need to be that way.
It does definitely not need to be that
I do
way.
want to end on like a fun note.
Yeah, sure.
So I'd love to hear, like, obviously there's a very positive experience here.
Yeah.
But I'd love to hear like just an atrocious date.
An atrocious
Yeah.
thing.
From both of y'all, all of us.
You said something funny, and by that I mean traumatizing and painful. What's up, guys? My name's Devon from Little Pricks Podcast. Thank you so much for listening to this episode. If you enjoy this kind of content and you're not subscribed yet, make sure you hit the subscribe button so you don't miss any more of these episodes. We are finally in a place where we feel like we're putting out the best content we've ever put out. We're finally having some guests on here and getting some different perspectives that we've always wanted to have for you guys. So please, again, thank you for listening. Thank you for watching this episode. Hit subscribe if you're not already. And get ready for some absolutely insane stories. So I put this at the end because this actually ended up going a lot longer than I thought it was going to. But it's definitely worth the watch. Make sure you watch until the end, especially for Fareed's story. You're not going to want to miss it. See you guys in the next episode.
For what it's worth, like, this is a really good panel. As I'm thinking about it, like, there's a success story.
Yeah.
Here's trying. Haven't given up, still trying. You're getting some real good business out of it.
Here's going.
You're gone, just done.
I'm going to be married soon. I'm sure of it.
Evolved away from that.
Yeah. Shoot, man.
So, who wants to go first? Some kind of ridiculous story.
I'm trying to think. Let me think.
We all have one. Come on.
Oh, everyone's giving you.
Everyone's going to give
Oh,
cute little
This
story.
is rough on my end. So sorry if the person watches this, but like I just got catfished bad, dude. Like I was out in Vermont.
That one's always the
Bro,
worst that a
I
guy
got-
has.
I
Like,
got
catfish.
It
catfished.
is literally the worst that most men have.
She
Dude,
was bigger than I thought.
I got catfished so bad that like I went into her house, she went to the bathroom, I fucking left. I just did not say anything.
Was it a
I
completely
got-
different person?
Maybe honestly,
Was
like it was so
60
starkly
pounds
different.
ago, or was like the filter on a filter?
Yeah, it was more of like the filter on the filter, and just like personality. It was just like, what the fuck? Like a little bit like kind of aggressive too, and like kind of could tell like they knew what they did, so like they were kind of like trying really really hard, but like went to the bathroom. I ran, I ran, and then like they messaged me on the app on my way home, and they were like, "Fuck you, you gutless worm. I hope you wreck on the way home and die." I was
Oh.
like,
Wow.
damn,
That's,
dude.
that's tough talk coming from somebody who
just lied about
just
their-
lied to you to
Yeah.
get you to there in the
Yeah,
first place.
dude.
So.
Said, "I hope you die" on the way home. I was like,
Mm.
I just sent.
Holy,
I sent the
Good.
hand heart emoji.
Yep, nope, that's what they deserve.
holy
That's the
fucking
equivalent
mushrooms.
of what we get when they're like, "Well, you're a dumb bitch anyway."
You're right.
Huh?
Yeah.
How'd you know it was dumb?
Yeah.
Right.
How did he know?
Yeah, that's mine. That's mine.
You guys, come on. I know you got something. You can't tell me, Aaron, you haven't had one where you're like, oh my god. And Raemie, Lord knows you have.
I don't know. The first thing that pops in my mind, like, is probably that guy, that weird guy that I was talking about earlier, who I
Yeah.
went on the date with twice, and he ended up liking me a lot more than I wanted him to, because I had originally told him like I was only coming for. We were actually doing like coffee, like so it was supposed to be just coffee.
Safe.
Yeah. And when we got there, he literally, I remember him like looking at me, and the way he looked at me made me feel super
Ooh.
uncomfortable. Like it was like,
Psycho vibes.
yeah, like he like looked at me and he was like, okay,
She'd fit in the trunk.
yeah, probably.
Yeah.
And
God.
so we like sat down, and we're at like couches, right? Like we're not like at a table or anything like that. So it's really informal. But he sat down. There are like you can't eat food at this restaurant, and so you know, he sat down and I ordered my coffee or tea or whatever I ordered, and he was like, yeah, I'm gonna go ahead, and he ordered a bunch of food, like but like the entrees, like meals and stuff like that. And I was like, oh, I'm not hungry, like I'm just here for coffee. And he was like, oh, don't worry, you will be hungry. And I was like, how long am I supposed to stay here that I'm gonna be hungry? Whatever. The date was fine itself. He just was off, and he talked about himself a lot in a very like egotistical manner. This is also the first time I had ever gone out with someone who was a lot older than me. He was 10 years older than I was. So I was 21, he was 31. And so he talked a lot about all this stuff. But anyway, so the weird part was after the date. So I left, whatever. Of course, he had my number at that point, and I just like,
I'd never give out my number for that reason.
yeah. Well,
Yeah.
that was a one time I like learned at that moment,
Oh yeah.
and so I didn't talk to him anymore, and it was just
Wow.
like that was just weird. I even it got to the point where I actually had texted my mom to call me. Like I went to the bathroom and I
yeah.
had her call me to be
Call
like,
me with an emergency.
yeah. And so anyway, I left. But I don't know. I think I met him in person like 3 weeks later or something like that. So I like forgot about this man at all. He and I were on a date and my phone just like blew up. Like 20 text messages. I got like 4 phone
Jesus.
calls. And I thought like somebody was trying to get a hold of me, like
somebody was
important.
hurt. Yeah, it was an emergency. Yeah.
And I look, and it's this guy,
Freaking guy.
and he is having a conversation with himself. But it's basically him saying, like, you know, he first writes, like, hey, how are you? We haven't gotten together in a while, like, haven't heard from you, wanting to make sure, like, you know, I really liked you. Was this mutual? I didn't respond. So then it was like, well, since you didn't respond to me, I'm going to guess that you're saying that it's not mutual. No response.
Bingo.
Yeah.
That's it, pal.
No response.
End of
But also,
discussion.
yeah, but no response because I'm also somewhere else.
Yeah.
Then it was like, well, actually, that can't be possible because I'm such a great catch. And so I'm going to assume that you're trapped in a basement somewhere, not
What?
being able to look at your phone. And then it was, yeah. And then it was like, after that, it was like, well, hopefully, you know, they're torturing you by showing you these text messages because I'm really the love of your life. And it's really torture that you can't answer my phone calls and all this stuff. Like, it just kept going and going. And I'm with him. And so it finally, like, I'm telling you, we were on like date 2 or 3. And he's just like, are you okay? And I was like,
You'd been on one date with this guy.
So I
Yeah.
got a story
I
for
went
you.
to barely a lunch with this guy.
Yeah.
One date. We met in person one time.
You went out
That-
with a literal definition of schizophrenia?
I don't know.
Yeah.
Like, and so he took my phone. He was like, can I respond to him? And I was like, I don't know.
Yeah.
So he
He's
responded
like,
to
hey,
him.
Bob. Hey, Pop. The big dogs in town.
Yeah,
now.
like,
Well, my thing is I love fucking with people. So
Yeah.
yeah. So he responded back to me. But I kid you not, at least 20 something text messages and at least 4 or 5 missed calls from him, like within an hour.
Freaking insane.
Yeah. And so that, I mean, that's like,
That's scary.
it was
That's
more
crazy,
scary,
yeah.
I guess, like more like odd than I would say like a bad date, because I don't think that I've been on like a date where I'm
Yeah.
like I got catfished or something, you know, like where you're like I
Dude,
gotta,
that was bad.
yeah.
So bad.
You're up, buddy.
Would you do that again?
What?
No? Like, if you got catfish, would you just like,
Yeah,
no?
bye. No,
Yeah.
no, I'm leaving.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I would leave too.
Yeah.
I would leave.
I'm gonna be honest. I don't really have like a bad date story. I will tell somebody else's story though. 'cause it's
Sure.
That's
funny to
cool.
me.
Yeah, sure.
You remember?
Yeah.
Yeah. So he was this guy I used to work with at.
I already know what
at
story
Air
he's gonna
Force
say.
Base. He's a catfish story. Basically, you know, he's talking to this girl, beautiful, talk, and then she's like, "Hey, come meet me at my apartment, whatever." So he pulls up and he's trying to find it, and so he calls, and he said as he's approaching, she's like, "Oh, I see you," and he's like, "Well, I don't see you," but he did see a girl standing there on the phone
No.
who was about a foot shorter, and he said built like a basketball, and looked absolutely nothing like the person that was on the phone. So like he parked and he's like, "You're," whatever her name was, and she's like, "Yeah, it's me." Come to find out she's like 90% deaf, and
Wow.
so he's like, "Okay," and so like they go into the apartment, and he says it smells like cat piss and cat shit, and it's like
no way.
8 cats everywhere, and he's like, who is this person? Like, he ended up
Yeah.
getting a phone call from his ex-wife and used it as an excuse to be like, "Oh my
Who
god,
would've
you're
thought?
broke down? Oh, sorry, I gotta go."
Who would have
Like,
thought the ex-wife would come in clutch on me?
I know.
Who would have thought?
Even
dude?
he said he was like, "Oh, it was crazy. Like,
He
came
said-
in perfect." I think she was calling to yell at him for something too.
Oh no
But
way!
it's
He's
like,
like,
"You're right,
honestly,
I'll be right
honey,
there."
I'm glad I'll be right there.
yeah.
Thank you.
And so yeah, it was like, he's like, I have no idea whose pictures she used
That is
because.
Hey man, they make TV shows. Remember the old MTV
Yes.
show
That's
Catfish?
horrifying?
Still
Did you say
thing.
that's horrifying?
Yeah, the cat piss and
Oh.
shit everywhere. Like, if you walk into an apartment that smells like that, like, hey,
Yeah.
I
think
remember I
most
have a
households with
nose. I have
cats.
to go.
It's hard to hide that stench. You
It's
said
a-
you had a weird one?
Oh, yeah, but you first.
No, you first.
You want me to go first?
Yeah.
Rock paper scissors. Come on.
Mine aren't that
Rock,
bad.
paper, scissors.
Best of one. Just one.
Go.
Oh, fine. We discussed it. We compromised. I went first. So, I did meet a girl one time, Facebook dating, and I took like all the reasonable protocols to vet this woman.
Yeah.
Right? Like, we had decided we were going to
Background check, credit score, all checked out.
fantastic credit
Usual,
score,
yeah.
right?
Standard stuff.
Peeped through her window. She looked exactly the same.
What I did one better, right? So I was like, we were talking, we were gonna go meet for tacos. I'm gonna take you to my favorite taco place at the time. And I said, like, why don't we do a video call first? Let's just see if the vibes are right, like see if we want to
Yeah.
get together, kind of a thing. Cool. Did a video call.
Did you plan that, schedule it, or was it spontaneous?
We scheduled the video call for like later that night before we went and met up the next day. He was like, I ain't about that catfish life.
Yeah.
I want to make sure this human being can make eye contact with me, right?
Yeah.
And so we do the video call. This woman was awesome. Just fun. She was well traveled. We had a lot of things to relate to. We talked about things. She was witty and funny, and it was like a great time we had. And I was like, this date's going to be great. Right? So next day, I show up to, at the time, favorite taco place. I cannot go back now. And the first red flag was she sends me a text, goes, hey, order me a margarita. I'm almost there.
Oh.
She was running late. And like I have a general
I think
rule.
I know this story.
Yeah. My general rule of thumb is I don't buy women alcohol. Like, get to know me first.
Fair enough.
Right? Like, I
Yeah.
don't buy alcohol. I'm not going to buy you a drink. You can get to know me. We can talk. You shouldn't have to exchange money or get you drunk to like
Yeah.
me. Right? Like, those
Fair
are the
point.
two things.
Yeah.
So, and this time I'm like, I'm already here. I don't want to seem like a Debbie Downer. I'm like, a margarita, senor. Pronto.
Mm.
And so they bring the margarita. She arrives late, and she sits down, starts off, I'm so sorry, like, this happened. That's so kind of you. Thank you for the beverage. Great. We start ordering food. She slams this margarita.
No way, dude.
Slams it. Like,
All right.
and she's like, another one, senor. And so the margaritas start coming.
That's where I would have been like, that's my cue.
And I did strap in, that's for damn sure. I was
Did
like,
she snap?
so, another margarita. Let's do this. Right? Of course, being funny enough, but the margaritas came.
Right.
And so, as she drinks these margaritas, she starts getting louder.
Oh
And
no!
louder.
I'm sweating already thinking about
And,
like
like,
the anxiety I would have.
Her stories start getting more exciting and exuberant, and they're just now the people over there are listening to her conversation with me, and I'm
Wow.
just like, yeah, that's great. It's a great story. Let's like this joint. Please stop. You know.
Yeah.
And
I know people here. They like me.
they know me by
I'm a
name.
regular.
Not anymore. I haven't gone back since.
No.
Yeah.
No.
So she's about
Where's the
screaming.
taco place?
Oh, I don't want to ruin the reputation this way.
It's all off camera.
Off camera. But like she's like screaming at this point. I'm like, I need to end this here. Like it needs to like be done.
I can't believe you got that far. That's crazy,
and she
dude.
goes, and well, now I'm her ride. Is the
Oh,
problem? She was
no.
dropped off.
Uber.
No.
Well, and she goes, why don't we take this to like another place, a bar? And I'm like, okay. At this point, I'm committed to it because like
What?
this is getting. I have like a
You're a
slight.
nice person.
You're a gentleman.
Yeah, but I'm also like.
Yeah, but
There's also like a slight bit of me. It's like, how bad can this go?
Sadistic side. That's
It's the devil
the
name.
devil won in that conversation.
I want to know where this goes, right? So she's like, Kon-Tiki, please.
Dude, I had
Okay.
a nightmarish day there too.
Nothing good
Kon-Tiki,
happens at
I'm
hit or
Kon-Tiki.
miss,
Kon-Tiki.
Kon-Tiki.
So we head over to Kon-Tiki, and I do certain things on this date. Like I do have a couple of pretty cars, and like I decided that night, I'm like I'm taking old reliable, old faithful, the old 2001 beat to hell Mercedes that like she looked rough, right? And like if you like me here, you can see the other stuff, kind of a thing. And we got in.
I was gonna ask, is that strategic?
It was very strategic,
It's
yeah.
not that nice, but wait until you see what I'm like.
Oh yeah, kind of a thing, right? And so like we hop in, she doesn't say anything. I'm like, cool, she passed that test, or she's so drunk she can't tell, right? So we get to Kon-Tiki,
Jesus Christ.
and at this point I've like had enough of the buying drinks for her. So we get to the bar, and she's like, oh, I'm gonna get me some wine. I go, great, and I take a step back. She gets the cue. She's like, oh, I'm paying. It's all you,
You
honey.
go ahead.
You handle that. Like
She gets like, I want to know how it ends.
I'm not gonna continue this situation, kind of a thing, right? So she gets her alcohol, she sits down, And then she immediately proceeds to start complaining about old boyfriends.
Oh,
Like that's
God,
instantly where that
dude.
conversation
Oh, my
goes.
God.
And at this point, I'm
How
just
did
like,
it get worse?
it does. And at this point, I'm just like, okay. So that one beat you a couple times. Okay, you stayed for how long? Okay. And then she starts bringing up the topic about like dick size.
And you told me this one.
And then she of course wants to be like, so like, how big is yours? I'm like, first of all, excuse you, buy me dinner first.
Ma'am.
Ma'am,
Hello.
calm down. And my usual answer is, it's
I'm
big
not that
enough to
kind
get
of
the
guy.
job
I'm
done.
a good Christian
Yeah.
boy.
I would never, right? Big enough to get the job done, right? And I go, at this point, I go, but like, what is reasonable for you? And at this point, she's like, 6 inches. And I look at him like, right? And I look at her and I go, 6 inches? Yeah, maybe 7 or 8. Madam, please stop. The butcher's getting scared, right? Put that kielbasa away. And she ends with like, and about this, about 10 inches. That's excessive right there, I think. But like, I really like him big.
Like this one will
Just a
kill
little
you.
bit of girl.
You know, she's talking. At one point, I look at her. I'm like, "Ma'am, I think you need a zoo. You're not here for dating men. You need to find a zoo, and
And
wherever you find it,
Jesus.
and jeez, and the Lord, right?
God can't help you.
God, she has basically set the precedent that either someone has lied to her what 10 inches is,
Yeah.
right? All ex-boyfriends at this point,
Yeah.
or like she was just a dick wrangler. Like, is that the proper term for this? Because she was very proud about her abilities there. And at this point, I'm just like inside laughter. Like the monologue is just laughing at this point. I'm like, you are not touching me, madam. You will be sorely disappointed. I was not born by horse, right? My father was but a man. So,
God, I've had enough. I'm tapping out. I'm tapping out, dude.
so at that point, I'm like, I think it's time to take your little ass home. Okay? And she played the sobriety card decently well, but you could tell like some of the off the wall shit she was saying. It was like, I can't tell how far here you are. But we go to the car and I'm like, okay, we're gonna take you home, but like she still wants to talk to me. And I'm like, what have I given you an inclination I still want to talk? I've been quiet now. I've just been an active listener at this point of what's going on. And the first thing she does as soon as she gets in the car is she takes both of her shoes off in a confined space.
No.
And I'm just then going like, stop it. You're killing me, lady.
She put him on the dashboard.
No, she kept him tied up, and I was like crisscross applesauce. She was tiny, like, you know, didn't know her height. And she starts talking some more, and then she gets like real brave with me. She started getting real brave. I think she started asking me like, what were my favorite features about myself. I'm like, great. Rex Amigos here. Got it. Okay. I like my winning personality.
No doubt.
I won second place in 4th grade spelling bee. I do great. I can spell words. And then she goes, well, mine is my ass. And she hops over quicker than I could like see it happen over onto my seat, sits down on me, grabs hands right on butt cheeks. It was straight to bone.
It's hilarious that that's the worst date to you when this would be like a dream date to many other guys.
True that, dude.
Yeah.
It's just horrifying. I didn't consent at
Is
any
this really
point.
happening?
You're right.
That's
Yeah,
fair,
yeah.
right? But remember, I already will fail expectations. This was okay.
Oh, God.
Okay? So, like, I'm not equipped for this. We're not doing this. I'm going to disappoint her. I don't want to be here anymore. She needs to go wrangle her zebra. So, we get back. She's sitting, butt, hands, straight to bone. I'm like, that's your best asset. Got it. Okay.
You're such a storyteller.
She's
Right.
she's hurting my thighs at this point with the sitting. She's like rubbing into that. Like she's put on a show. And then she proceeds to like attack my face with vigor and like starts to make out with me. I've had zero input into this situation at this point. And I'm just very, very, very perplexed and confused. And it somehow, as things start to like steam down, she wants to go to the back, and I'm like, no. This is going to be very embarrassing for both of us.
You should have tapped out way earlier.
I didn't know how to tap out. She was not listening. Like, my words
I
were
was
not...
scared.
Mom, come get me. I'm scared.
No doubt.
And at that point, she, like, jumps in the back seat. I'm like, I don't know what you want back there, but there's nothing good. Anyways, where's your house? Right? So she gives me the address. I take her literally down the street, which was even more confusing, because I thought, like, who dropped you off? Turns out her mother had.
Oh my god, dude.
And I go to drop her off.
Tough.
Opens the
Hell
door.
yeah.
I hear a kid screaming. I was like, there's kids? I did not know what I was signing up for.
What more?
Her mother waves at me. Hi. You know?
No.
And I go,
Hope you guys had a nice time.
Yeah.
Any snacks, condoms, let me know.
No doubt.
and I kind of look. She's like, oh, I would like to see you again. I was like, okay.
Right.
No.
Closes the door and I like
Rips
speed
the
off.
license plate off the back of the car, throws
Yeah.
it in the back seat, then drives off.
And then like I like text her like, hey, hope everything was okay, just that you're safe, not like destroyed. Ghosts me.
Wow. Dude, the
Like, that day
anticipation,
was lame.
That was the most confusing date I've ever had.
the anticipation you must have felt leading up to like, this is my moment. I gotta tell this story.
I'm gonna die.
Serious question. Were
Yes.
you like even remotely disappointed when you realized she ghosted you?
I was confused.
Confused.
I was definitely confused. I was like,
You would think like, oh, that's cool,
You
but
would
like,
think it'd be a sigh of
I really
relief,
better
yeah.
text
Relief,
back.
I know,
Jeez.
It was
Yeah.
more. It was more confusion, right? Because like all this like coming at me, like you want me, you want me, you want me, and then I realized in hindsight, like I wasn't giving like the vibes I wanted her back, so she must have felt like jilted at some point,
Yeah.
right? So like that makes sense now. But I will say the one interesting thing I've had like during dating is the way that some women like get very confused about how to flirt, and like adds to like why I don't like to watch the murder mystery stuff. Because the amount of girls I've had try to flirt with me by threatening to stab me is
God.
too damn high.
Honestly,
I'll kill
dude. No, that was surprising.
You better love me.
Right?
Because you're not gonna get rid of me.
Where are my flowers?
Yeah,
That's it.
I've had like 3 girls threaten to stab me
It was
if I
sad.
didn't like them.
That is surprising. I'm not gonna lie.
Not
I
here in
don't think
Tucson.
What?
I said that's not surprising for Tucson.
That's fair, yeah. We earned that.
it adds up.
The old dirty tea, we earned that.
Your best dates are in South Tucson. You never know
Yeah.
what you're gonna get.
No doubt. No doubt.
Meth, stabbed, married?
I have not gone on any dates or actually seriously dated anyone at any point without them at some point letting me know that they could physically overpower me. At
Okay.
some way, somehow, they would always let me know.
That is awful.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of guys think that that's like
A turn on?
Like hot
a
or
hot
something.
thing. Like, you know, I could, whatever.
I
I'm
could murder
strong,
you,
I'm
no one
man.
would know.
No, I feel like too. It's mostly like, oh, I could toss you around. Like they try and use it like kind of sexually, and
But it
you can
completely
say if
goes awry.
it's different for you, but that would be how it comes out. Like it's not necessarily like I'm gonna punch the shit out of you. Like I mean, they're not like just they're
Like,
not.
come on, throw 'em up.
Yeah, they're not. Yeah, they're not like saying like I'm gonna fight you, but it's mostly
Yeah.
like some type of comment that they think is cute or sexualized, and they're like, I'm gonna throw you
You
around.
can blame 50 Shades of Grey for that.
Well, one day I was
Yeah.
actually out at night in a park walking with a dude. It was a golf course, actually.
Wrong.
And I was young and dumb. Okay?
Night park man.
And he straight up told me like, you
Those
don't
cannot
know.
be in
Did
the
you
same
see a
sentence.
bear?
You don't know. I could be a serial killer.
That was
This is
expertly
true.
placed. That was expertly placed. Run towards the bear.
Somebody find me a bear, please. But yeah, he was like, you don't know. I could be a serial killer. I was like, cool.
See, I've made that joke, but never towards myself. I always go look at her, you could be a serial killer. I'm lucky to be alive right now.
Right.
And that usually lands pretty well, because, like, they're not being threatened.
Yeah.
Like, the point of a date is to not make your date feel like, am
And
I
I'm curious where that comes from. When it comes from girls, where does that come from?
I
not
think it's
really
from
a
watching too
natural
many
thing.
true murders.
That's like, oh yeah, I
Yeah.
shot up a place because I play Grand Theft Auto.
Hmm.
I will argue to say that not everybody that watches true crime is going to fall into that statistic of being
Yeah.
overhyped like that, but there are a lot of weak-minded people that binge the stuff that
They just
then,
need a reason.
and
Yeah.
then
Yeah.
it all comes back to the victimhood mindset. Everyone wants to be a victim. Everyone wants to be scared. Everyone.
We have an episode on that.
Yes, we do.
There we go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I could
Quick
talk for
plug.
hours on
Right.
that one.
Put that right here.
Yeah, we're going somewhere in here, yeah.
Click on that.
I don't think I've dated enough to have like that bad of a date, but when I was but a younging, I went on a date with a guy. We went to a movie theater, and he like tried to put his arm around me, and instead he just elbowed me right in the nose.
Oh no, dude.
That's awful.
And he was like so nervous. He was like, "Oh, I'm so sorry." So I don't know if I got my own ice pack or he did, but the rest of the movie,
No.
I was just.
I can't believe you
my
stayed.
nose.
Oh my.
And like he was like this the entire time, and I was right here. He didn't
Yeah.
even want to get near me. And he was, by the end of the day, he was like, "I'm not gonna see you again, am I?" I'm like, "No, don't say that. That's stop.
rude.
Never did."
Yeah, but
Yeah.
no.
That
And
man now lives in perpetual fear of the power of his elbows.
Yeah.
No doubt.
He wears the
Weapon.
elbow pads to every
Right.
date he's on.
And another day, which was like not super bad, but he was like one of the only younger guys than me and I've ever dated, and I'm like probably never gonna do it again. He was so immature. Everything I said, he would create an insult for me. It's like, that's stupid. Oh my god, you're basic. Like I was
Wow.
using some
Yikes.
chapstick. It was vanilla bean. He was like, that's basic bitch flavor. And I was like, dude.
Sheesh.
You know where that comes from? And
Hold
it-
on.
Okay.
Like I we were talking about our ethnic background,
Uh-oh.
and he just started shitting
Yeah,
on the
yeah.
Middle East
That was
and
never the place to
Mexico.
go.
And then when I wanted to pay for drinks, just because I was done, I wanted to pay for both of them and just wrap it up.
Leave.
He was like, "No, I'm gonna pay." I was like, "No, don't fight me. I just let me do it." He was like, "No," and he grabbed cash from his pocket and threw it at me.
Wow.
It's
This
like,
is not a
this
strip club,
is-
sir, and even that's
Yeah.
rude.
Just about to say that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that wasn't great. And by the end of it, he was like, "I think we got off on the wrong start. I'd like to try again."
Oof.
Gun.
That ship is sailing, Homer.
Excommunicado.
Excommunicado.
Yes.
I moved.
Right.
No habla.
Right.
New phone, who dis?
Wow.
We've had some, like, it's weird with the whole racial ethnic thing. I've experienced some, like, really weird reactions with that and religion. That has been a weird one for me, right? Like,
Yeah.
because I'm not enough of either one. So, like, I'll get girls that be like, "Oh, you're Arab?" I've had like,
How
"That's
exotic."
so exotic." I'm like, "No, I'm
Why aren't you
I'm
darker?
from Midvale."
Right.
I don't know if you hear my voice, but
I sound like Chad.
Yeah.
Like I'm not.
I wear Ugg
Ahmad.
boots.
Right. The bottle of Crest toothpaste where it says noticeably white.
I get through airport security just fine. Okay.
Right.
So, like, so yeah, you get that one, or I've had the one where like, if like I try to date like a Muslim girl, you're not Muslim enough, and if I try to date like a Christian girl, definitely not Christian enough. Or the Christian girl's like, "You have a Muslim father?" What? I don't like this. Or like vice versa, like, God, religious people, why?
I get the opposite. I'm not particularly attracted to Arab men. I think you know that. But I attract all of them, purely because of my name. It's like, "Are you Arab?
Well, that's because they want to make
What
friends
are you?
or wives.
Are you Syrian? Lebanese? You're Iranian, aren't you?" I'm like, "I'm not looking for this."
Wow.
Piss.
Yes.
Well,
Layla, that's an
fun.
Indian name.
We've had fun tonight.
Dude, this is this
Yeah.
went a lot of directions I did not think it was gonna go, but I feel very enlightened. I feel more well-rounded after this conversation. This was good.
I'd like to thank
really
every
good.
single one of you for
Seriously,
coming.
yeah.
Thank you so much. You
Pleasure
guys are
to be here.
wonderful.
No doubt.
I would absolutely love to have you guys on again for different topics if you guys would so care to be here, because this has been really enlightening, I think.
Sure.
So,
Yeah.
Yeah, appreciate you guys so much. So much love. So much
Thank
love
you.
to you guys for watching. Make sure you subscribe if you're not already. Hit the like button, share with your friends, and we'll see you guys around next time, huh?
Thank you for joining us, Little Pricks, on this podcast.
See you guys later.
Woohoo!
Right on the dime, 2 hours. Just about.
We had a feeling it was going to be that, yeah.